And then there was that one time Matt Lauer built a sex dungeon at work.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Like, pretty sure it's like a felony, at least.
This is a warning to all living mortals. That who shall ever open this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth. Okay, cut it. This isn't going to work. Let's try some nostalgia bait.
It's kind of strange. You looking happily rain. I can't settle this in bed. Or have you picked your target yet? It's ending. Don't your dog bite? It's ending.
Okay, that was better. But let's try something a bit more cinematic.
Hey, where my broken arrows at? They try to tell us we can't fly. Like we too broken or something. I mean, I'd rather let them know. Hold up, hold up, hold up. My squad about to roll up. Hold up, hold up. My squad about to roll up. Get them balls up. Get them balls up. Get them balls up. Get them balls up. Hold up, hold up. My squad about to roll up. Hold up, hold up. My squad about to roll up. All the way up. Get them balls 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 all the way up. Broken arrows get bows up. Sometimes I pray with my nose up. Thinking about when the world crumbles and my whole squad just goes up. Ain't gotta worry, we straight like an arrow, yeah. Ain't gotta worry about faith, nope. I'm on that straight and the narrow, yeah. I just go straight like an arrow, yeah.
Yeah, that's the shit I like. Let's start the Barroom podcast. Take it away, Jacob.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here for episode 148 of the Ballroom Podcast, and I'm joined here today with my lovely group of co-hosts joining us here. Got a few people will be trickling in later on in the show. I'm not going to introduce them because, I mean, this show might go off the wells considering some of the people who may be joining up. But we have Cider here joining us, and Cider, you are the whitest? Is that something you're trying to claim now? You're okay, that's a good thing now.
I mean, look, I'm literally causing the equilibrium of the camera to drown out. I'm overexposing the camera. I have to lean back or my background disappears because the white's overpowering it.
Yep.
Yes.
Also joining us here is our good buddy Rob Mata. How's it going?
Pretty good. I shouldn't be surprised because I said it was going to be a shit movie, but I just am surprised that the mass audience was just like Sinners was this great movie, and when I watched it, I was just like, oh, okay, I could have predicted that. But yeah, I'm just so amazed at the reaction to it, to what the end result was, where it was like, you guys didn't think that the politics was just incredibly heavy-handed. That like
that's exactly why they love it, because it was so heavy-handed.
No, the whole like jazz thing was, or excuse me, blues was so self-righteous. Like, we have to protect our precious art from the vampires that want to come steal it. And it was just like, I'm just okay, all right, sure, let's keep moving. Because I think Jordan Peele produced this. I know Ryan Coogler made it, but I think he was involved with it. Maybe he wasn't, but it was just pretty much fitting what I thought it was going to be, and a real waste of 2 hours and 17 minutes that I can't get back.
So I'll say this quick little sidebar. I did see Sinners 2. I saw it a couple of weeks back. I will say this. for the first hour and 30 minutes, it's because it's like a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. It's not that bad. Like, you can look past like some stuff, but it's not nearly that bad. The third act, which is the final act of the movie, to me, it goes off the rails in one of two ways. One, the entire supernatural element of the movie is so shoehorned in. It has no presence in like the first two acts of the movie, and it only shows up in the third, which is like, well, you know what? You really didn't need to have vampires and this whole thing about supernatural and voodoo put into this film at any point. You could have just left it the way that it was and had a straightforward movie. Probably would have been better. And then, of course, the ending part is like, even after they defeat the vampires, they're like, okay, so we defeated the white vampires, but we need to still go kill the KKK, because we all know how evil the KKK are here in the year 2025. So that part of it too, was just like, you guys had overshot it, and then you just went and just completely killed it. So if I'm just grading it on the first two acts, not that bad of a movie. I can see why people think it is great. To me, the third act completely just pukes on itself and dies. Go ahead, Cider.
No, I was just counting.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were having a question.
I have nothing to offer about this. I don't give two shits about Sinners. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Vampire movie. Ooh.
And it's not even really a vampire movie until like almost an hour and 45 minutes into the damn thing. So...
And I'm sorry, but like, just reading all reading the Twitter reactions from it about how deep the characters are, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You have this first act that is an hour long, where you basically set up like the atmosphere, the location, and there's no depth to it. I mean, there's you can see where the money is, you can see like costumes, you can see the train station. But then, like, you have green screen when they're driving in the car with Delroy Lindo talking about, the old days. And so it's just like, it just feels like a half-hearted attempt, and whatever. I mean, good in terms of business, it's done really well. I still don't know if it's going to turn a profit, though, because it's like, it's had 2 really good weekends, and now Thunderbolts is coming out, stealing all the IMAX screens. So,
well, the problem is this is $100 million movie, and I don't know why it's $100 million movie. So it's made about 170 so far, but it still hasn't turned an actual profit yet. And like I said, the next couple of weeks is going to go lower and lower. It'll probably either get very close to breaking even or just fall short at the rate that it's going right now. Even though everyone thinks that this is the Oscar favorite of the entire year so far, which goes to show you just how awful the year has been. Because I mean, I honestly can't even think of like another movie I'd be like, well, no, this is the. No, I mean, there just hasn't been that many good movies this year, so it's like, what you can counter with.
Like, how far are we off from Black People in Monster Trucks, the movie? Because I'm thinking like, what's underrepresented in film? Black people in monster trucks. Let's go.
So here's the other problem here, and I knew, like, I'm not surprised people are like worshiping this movie right now, because let's be honest, when it comes to Ryan Coogler or Jordan Peele or anybody in this circle, it's like with these uber progressive film critics, we've seen this now over the course of several years. They are horrifically afraid to properly criticize any movie that is done by a prominent black filmmaker in Hollywood right now, because by their own logic that they have created, they would be a racist. If anyone says that they don't like Sinners, they automatically label that person, oh, you just don't like black people, you probably support Trump. They go straight to that. So they double down and virtue signal to everyone to be like, no, see, I'm an ally of insert this here. And they go on, and for some reason, this movie has like 98% on Rotten. This is not a 98% positive movie. It's just not. And there's no justification for it whatsoever. No justification for it whatsoever outside the fact that people are too afraid because of the monster that they helped create. And that's why we're here right now.
And it's not a truck.
Yep.
See, that's the thing. I know I mean that. Like, how far are we off from Black people in monster trucks? You think that's going to happen? I hope it does, because I think that's the jump the shark moment. I think that's the moment where everybody's like, okay, dude, I literally, that's enough.
I literally woke up this morning. There was some video trending online about black people and white people criticizing the way that they make pasta. So you have like authentic Italian pasta versus black people pasta.
What the hell is black people pasta?
So you really don't. You really fucking don't. The black people were complaining about the the authentic Italian pasta, claiming that it has no seasoning and no spices, and then the girl literally named Lowry's by name, and I literally said, it's too early for this. I can't do this right now. I just fucking can't. So yeah, that's what we've been going through with for the last couple of days. So let me go ahead and introduce all you guys here in the chat first right now. I say that we're on Rumble, YouTube, and on X. Neozoic is here saying hi to Barroom Crew. He has this question here. It says, which TV show would you rather watch, Hogan Heroes or MASH? I'm more familiar with MASH than I am with Hogan's Heroes. I think MASH was the bigger show, if I'm not mistaken. So because I'm more familiar with it, I would go with that, even though they're not ones that I would particularly pick. I'm just not a huge fan of that style of, television shows from that era. It's just a thing with me, but maybe you guys have more culture than I do.
I came up in a household that enjoyed both.
Yeah. I mean, Bob Crane has some weird shit towards, his midlife crisis and to the end of his life. So, but I even saying all of that, I enjoy Hogan's Heroes more than MASH, which I never really got into. I remember it played like on reruns early evening, like 4:00, 4:30, like as I was coming home from school when I was in elementary school or whatever. But I never got into it. The movie's pretty good. I can definitely recommend it, but yeah, I'll go with Hogan's Heroes. Nazis acting incompetent is just, in a comedic manner is just delightful.
They're very different concepts. Let's put it that way. MASH is like people are dying, and we're trying not to have the souls of those saving their lives also crushed beneath the horror of war. And Hogan's Heroes, like, wouldn't it be funny if the Nazis were Power Ranger villains and couldn't do anything right?
Yeah, it's just hijinks. Yep.
Bonus question here. What is your favorite bad movie? Which means that it's a movie that is bad, but you still love it anyway. My most recent example of this would be the movie Wish Upon that came out a few years ago with Joey King. I tell people all the time I see that movie is a comedy, and that movie was not supposed to be a comedy. So that movie, go out there and watch it, is absolutely brilliant for all the wrong reasons. So I don't know if you guys have a better example than that.
Barbarella. Barbarella is my favorite movie of all time. I own the collector's edition of it. It is a ridiculous, stupid, acid-fueled romp through shag carpeting, too tight of clothing, and implied sex. And it's so stupid and it's so horny. I love it because it's absolute pure 70s shit, and it happened just before the 70s. That's my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I there's so many actually, and there's probably movies that the audience would consider good that I just don't. But I have to throw out like Southland Tales, maybe the only good performance that Dwayne The Rock. Okay, I can't call it a good. I mean, it's a bad movie with bad performances, but that are incredibly entertaining. And all I can describe it as is it's an acid trip of the American political and social id. So like the most ridiculous Republican version. And then the most ridiculous, like liberal Marxist version of like America's identity is just like put on display for 2.5 hours from the guy who made Donnie Darko. If you've seen that and know kind of like what, that's kind of a wacky movie. So yeah, I'll say Southland Tales. Also movie 43, which it's just bad taste. It's James Gunn being disgusting with famous celebrities for 2 hours. Just like it's the movie where Hugh Jackman has balls on his chin. And like it's just a ridiculous set of like skits, and
it was literally how do we con A-list actors into completely humiliating themselves, and then none of them actually endorse.
I like it on the principle that everybody hates it. They hate it. Like I have far and wide, up and down, every movie lover I've met that has seen it. They're like, you are disgusting. And so yeah, it's just check it out though if you're you're curious.
All right, who else we got here? Vanya's joining us here. Neozoic, Doba Fett's here as well. Keith over on the Rumble side of things. Leslie Tarkin is here with us tonight. Who else we got here? DK is here with us. Spencer's listening on, asking no Sanders. I think I've had enough of Shakur Sanders over the last few days. We're not going to talk about that anymore.
I don't even know who that is.
Good for you.
Consider yourself lucky.
Good for you.
Malice at the Palace, like the Heat game. Yeah, the Heat Cavs game was an abomination. I think they were up by 60 at one point. It was literally a 2K game. That was an abomination. It's almost as if 10 seed should not be in the playoffs. You ever think about that?
Yeah.
You ever think maybe we have too many teams in the postseason? Kenny F and Power saying, "Hey everyone here. Sinners is just from Dusk Till Dawn in 1930 South." I mean, you're not wrong.
It's like a Japanese tournament anime. 10 in the finals? Jeez. It's a filler arc right there.
No, you're right. You're not wrong. Like, you're absolutely right.
Power says, "What's your favorite Star Wars movie?" I'm gonna say an answer that's just gonna make the OG Star Wars fans very, very upset. Rogue One, and I'm not gonna explain why it is either.
The Clone Wars was funny. I laughed at the Clone Wars because R2D2 made lots of funny noises, and I was entertained by that because I was a teenager. I fell asleep during Return of the Sith. That's how I was. I remember it so vividly. Anakin was standing on a balcony, and I was like, "That's nice," and I fell asleep right in the movie theater.
So you guys wouldn't pick the original trilogy as like just better? I mean, I don't like Star Wars at all anymore, but like the original.
Better. Yeah, it's done
just-
better. It's filmed better. But what's more memorable are the
Yeah.
new movies because they're dumb. And that's
yeah.
the thing, is that the meme quality of the prequel movies just absolutely outweighs just the legendary level of the originals. Like, when you ask people what your favorite movie in Star Wars is, a lot of people want to answer that honestly and like, oh, this is the one that stirred me in my heart the most. But I answer it as the one that I think about the most, and that's the Clone Wars. I think about it all the time.
I went to the theater to see him as a teenager. I mean, I was 10 when Phantom Menace came out and Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. I saw all three of them in the theater. I was not a fan at the time, and I think now I have more of a detached relationship where it's just like, yeah, sure. If it's just this ridiculous melodrama told, space melodrama, like, sure. Like, I'm sure you could find things to laugh at or enjoy or that are good for fodder. You know what I mean? But and then the new ones I haven't really, like, I saw the first one. I definitely skipped the second one on purpose. Then I never watched the third one. So I'm out on that, but I've have it from a good source that they are not worth watching anyway. So there you go.
You'll do damage to yourself watching it.
We got Terminator Joe here. JEC is also here as well. DK's here with us. Rooftop Korean. A few other people are trickling in as the show goes on too. So before we get started, I do have an unfortunate announcement that I have to make here. Unfortunately, this will be the last show for the foreseeable future. Now, does that mean that I'm giving up on YouTube? No, that doesn't mean I'm giving up on YouTube. Here's basically what's happening. As you guys know, my schedule over the last couple of weeks has been very erratic because I'm dealing with, obviously, a sick family member who decided kind of out of the blue over the last 24 hours that they were no longer going to continue to get the treatments that they need. Even though the treatments hadn't stopped working or anything like that, they decided that they were no longer going to continue on with this fight. So over the course of the next couple of weeks is going to be a difficult time. Fortunately, my family has handled it as well as they could possibly can. We all pretty much put in a plan together, but it's going to require me making a lot of time to focus on my family over the next couple of weeks, which I'm just not going to have time to focus on, streaming and videos and stuff like that. So I can't tell you how long this is going to be. My hope and my guess is that probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to take a little bit of a break to kind of get affairs in order. And then once things have kind of settled down, go back to making regular content. Like I said, this is not a goodbye by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not giving up on the bar room, not giving up on the Bible lens. We just have to take a few weeks break because there's a lot of stuff going on and I need to focus more on quote unquote IRL stuff than here just on the YouTube stuff. So I'm just giving you guys a quick little head of steam right now. Not going to see much of me over the next couple of weeks. Don't let anyone try to create any narratives about why I'm not here or anything like that. It's just that I need to take care of some stuff at home before I can focus on the YouTube stuff for now. So, like I said, I know everyone's been sending me prayers and stuff like that. I really do truly appreciate everyone who's been reaching out over the last couple of years. I really do. But like I said, it just feels like right now we're kind of at the end of the road and we need to focus more on that here. But I did want to go out here and do this show here today. If it was just up to me, I would just continue on with the schedule. But like I said, at this point, got to take priority here. There's all this going to happen. So we're going to have fun here tonight. We're going to go ahead and go to our normal schedule here. And this is not a great segue for our first topic of the night, because our first topic is Shannon Sharpe. He is officially taking a leave of absence with ESPN after he got hit with a $50 million rape lawsuit from a 19-year-old OnlyFans model that he was sleeping with behind closed doors. Shannon Sharpe is 57 years old. He is a 57-year-old man, unmarried clearly, and he is still messing with them hoes, as Jesse used to say, at his ripe age, and it's gotten him in a lot of trouble. Now, Shannon Sharpe is obviously co-host of ESPN's First Take. He has his own platforms. He has Nightcap on YouTube. He also has Club Shay Shay. And he got hit with a lawsuit over, I think it was about a week ago, saying that, some 19, 20-year-old girl that he had slept with, no, he claims that it was all consensual, but she's hitting him with a rape lawsuit here. Now, let me go ahead and say this and be very clear here. I do not believe Shannon Sharpe raped this woman. I do not believe that at all. I do believe this is a shakedown. However, Shannon Sharpe has a record of being completely reckless with his Johnson and being completely, let's put it this way. When he was at FS1, the open secret is that he has an HR file basically the size of the Bible. That's basically what it comes down to. There's been a lot of instances behind closed doors with him and women, and it seems like that his relationships off screen with women is going to lead to his downfall in one way or another. So this is basically what's happening here. Shannon Sharpe released a statement not too long ago. Now, this is where it just gets funny. And this is where we do have to kind of laugh just a little bit. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how this progressed here. This is the woman who Shannon Sharpe was hooking up with. The one on the right over there.
Of course.
And she's like literally like 20, I think she's like 20, 21, 22 years old now, but they had been messing around with each other since he was 19 and he had to be at least like 54 or something like that, something along those lines. And what happened was that lawsuit came out. It was a pretty ugly one. He had to essentially put out a statement of his innocence here. Now I'm going to play the video portion of this statement first, because this is where it starts getting funny. Because Shannon Sharpe, if you guys don't know him, he's a Hall of Fame football player. He was a great tight end for the Denver Broncos back in the 1980s, 1990s. Won, I believe, 3 Super Bowls altogether, if I'm not mistaken. 3 Super Bowls. Great football player, but he's kind of a dum-dum. And I'm going to show it to you exactly why he's a dum-dum. Here's his statement based on the allegations and why he's going to be stepping away for a little bit. So here's his first quote.
Supporters and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so.
Porn?
Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want 50.
First, I'm just going to stop right here. When you have to list the defendant's OnlyFans username in an account that you're being tried, how much lower do we have to get as a society at this point? This is just like peak clown, or it gets worse.
$50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys.
So that was his statement initially. Then a couple days passed and it looked like, yeah, you might need to take some time off and deal with this situation because right now you're kind of a toxic asset for ESPN. So he released this statement. Now here's the funny part about this statement. I believe that his lawyer gave him this statement to be like, here, this is what you should write on your Twitter account, verbatim, to write this. He then posted the screenshot of what his lawyer sent him to post on his own Twitter account. So now everyone knows that Shannon did not actually write this, which is hilarious, but this is what he says here. My statement found here, and this is the truth, the relationship in question was 100% consensual. At this juncture, I am electing to step aside temporarily from my duties from ESPN. I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of NFL preseason. So this is him basically saying, I'm going to be sitting out the next 4 months. That's basically what he's saying here. So
at least,
right? It says that I sincerely appreciate the overwhelming ongoing support I've seen from my family, friends, colleagues, Shannon Sharpe, which was written by his lawyer. So here's a couple of very interesting clips here regarding this whole Shannon Sharpe situation, because some people have obviously dug up some old clips about, Shannon's sexcapades at the age of 57. Here's him saying that, people keep telling him that he needs to start dating his age, but he says that he wants to date his wage. This is what Shannon Sharpe had to say not too long ago before this whole thing blew up in his face.
We're talking about date your age. Well, I want to date my wage. I'm finna shut all this ish down tonight. I want to date my wage.
Stay right there.
Where y'all at? Hey, chat, where they at?
Hold on. Cause I keep it on me now.
Yeah.
I keep it on me. You want to date your what?
I want to date my wage, not my age. I want to date my wage. So where are they? Cause y'all always talking about date your age. I want to date my wage. So come on with it.
Well, you talking?
As a matter of fact, I'm taking applicants as we speak.
Well, you talking spicy tonight, boy.
Yeah, that clip didn't hold up very well. Now, this one gets even better. This was an interview he did a while back ago with Monique, and Monique basically called him out on this very issue, and this is what she said back then to him. Clearly, he did not listen, but I think it's fun to go back and listen to this now again.
I'm trying.
What you trying to say? What you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you. I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me
tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. Damn. When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, you want some money to go to Starbucks? Yeah, because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's going to say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter, because that's going to get your energy back up. I'm talking right to you. Shit. So he thought I was going to be scared. Yes, I'm talking. And I know an old gal, she'll be good to you. Her name is Elladora. Now, when you know somebody named Elladora, she's old school. Mm-hmm. Now, Miss Elladora told me to tell you. She said, I think he like red velvet.
Oh, I do.
I say, Miss Elladora, if he do like that, she said, you let him know I got something for him.
Yeah, I like
and she don't have no teeth. Come on, pick your glass up and clack it for me. Come on now. These young gals will bite you. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, guess I gotta come on home.
Come on home, Shannon. And y'all stop putting lies out about my brother, because I was in my feelings when y'all said he didn't date black women. Y'all stop that shit. You stop it. Now he might throw a white one in there every now and again. And it's okay. It's okay. Because sometimes we ain't into everything. Yeah. We don't do everything. So sometimes Uncle Shay need a spice of life.
Yeah, see? There you go.
He need to go across the street, but he always gonna come back. That's all we saying to you, Oprah and Tyler. Come on home. Come on home.
Yeah, so like I said, file that under a myriad of things that did not age very well for Mr. Shannon Sharpe. But the too long didn't read version of this is that a near 60-year-old man was still fooling around with 20-year-old Pooh-Tang, and now he has a $50 million lawsuit hanging over his head, and his job at ESPN may quite literally hang in the balance, because he told people that he plans on being back NFL preseason. ESPN might not want him back anytime soon. So that's kind of where we're at. Raw,
Well,
I'll start
remember,
with you.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
remember the video that leaked or whatever, like a
Mhm.
couple months ago of him, and it was supposed to be like everybody thought at the time it was like, oh, it's an ad for like, you know, some erectile dysfunction fucking thing that you're supposed to
Yeah.
take, or like a Viagra thing that you're supposed to take, and it was like, and so it was like that was a weird kind of occurrence, whereas like, okay, he still is like doing weird shit on a video that he didn't know was live, or so. I mean,
Allegedly.
allegedly, yes, there's questionable things in Shannon Sharpe's background. And here's the thing: Shannon Sharpe is a player that I followed ever since I started watching the NFL when I was 6 years old. He's one of the best tight ends at a time when there was a lot of really good tight ends. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos. He went to the Ravens. He won another one there. He's a Hall of Fame all-time great player at his position. Having, you know, and I think it's his media career is strange because he started on like the NFL Today, and he was like, he was fine, but he wasn't like a star or anything. And then all of a sudden, ever since like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless broke up, like he's been like a sought after media talent. And the thing with, what was it, Joy Taylor at FS1, like he was there when all that Joy Taylor stuff was going on. And so he has this track record of being involved with people at work, at younger women. Here's the thing. He's right. He has the money and he has the opportunity to date or to see whoever he wants, even to be like a sugar daddy, whatever the relationship is. He's right. He is entitled to that. However, he has more to lose than the average person. So it's like, you have this opportunity, sure, but it's like, you're going to get bit. And that's what Monique was saying, was like, if you keep doing this, if you keep fucking around with these young girls, young women, whatever, it's going to bite you in the ass. And this is what this is. It is a shakedown. I mean, I perfectly think that that's true, but it's also true that, you know, he fucked around and he found out, and that's why you don't do that. That's why you don't hang around with OnlyFans thoughts and Instagram girls and whatever label you want to throw out there. But it's like, you're almost a 60-year-old man, and so your money can afford you whatever lifestyle it can buy. But this is the, you know, the pitfalls of kind of living that life or deciding to go down that path. Eventually you're going to attract the wrong person, who's only with you for your money and your stature anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a shame that it has to happen. Like, something like this has to happen to be like, hey, so maybe, yes, this is a shakedown. This shouldn't be happening or whatever, but maybe you've also kind of brought it on yourself just by engaging with those people. It's just, you know, it's part and parcel with the people you spend time with. And it's unfortunate, but it looks like it definitely has taken its toll.
Yeah, and I will say this here too. You know, Shannon Sharpe. You know, this is. It's I get it. When you're super rich and you're super famous, you know, women just throw themselves at you. That's just the way that it is for everyone, right? It's very easy to hook up with women who know exactly who you are, who can Google your net worth, know that you have a lot of money, and they see essentially a paycheck. This is prominent in both the NFL and NBA circles, where essentially you have these women who will go get this expensive plastic surgery for the sole purpose of trapping some dumb NBA player or dumb NFL player who can't keep it in their pants, who's going to knock them up, and all of a sudden they're going to get, you know, a big, you know, child support check out of it. There are people who quite literally do that as an industry now. And like I said, it's extremely shady. Yes, it's extremely shady, but at the same time, these guys have absolutely no self-control whatsoever, and there's always going to be a consequence to a complete and utter lack of self-control, and this is exactly what it is here. So, Cider, as someone who just consumed all of this information, what is your take on this situation?
Well, I have a rule. Once you hit 25, you don't date under 25. Just, that's the limit. You know, by that point, you can have a conversation with a person. They are most likely out of their college degree. They have fucked up enough in their own lives to have like a story to tell. You know, they've learned a few lessons. So odds are you can probably meet somebody who's, at the very least, decided what they're going to do for the next 10 years of their life. I had 3 fiancés, and I dated in between. I didn't just meet these women like, dominoes after behind each other. And what I can tell you is that it isn't even the money. It's the resources that you have at your command that brings over a lot of the ones that don't think things through. These advantageous ones, these ones that are looking for a free ride, that kind of thing. They see how much resources you have at your command, and they become desperate to be either in command of those resources or so tightly tied to them they might as well be. And what you've got to do is like when you meet a woman anywhere you go, you need to have random curveball questions that act as litmus tests because they're expecting you to ask them about like their sex history, what they hope to do with their lives or whatever. Curveball them by asking them what they think about My Little Pony, if they watched My Little Pony or if they were into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they were kids, because you'll get a real quick litmus test about what this person thinks about if they can't answer what they watched as a kid. That's not going to be somebody you can get along with because they don't think about their lives in any kind of like retrospective way. They don't review their lives. They don't review their mistakes. So, everybody's got a funny story about taking their fandom too far as a kid. Every Superman fan tied a towel around their neck and tried to jump off of something too high to be jumping off of. And if she doesn't have an answer for that, well, you don't want anything to do with her. That's one of those Shannon Sharpe hunters there that's trying to find somebody to get the money because that's all they think about, getting the money. And that's why I tell guys when they go out dating girls, just think about some random things. Think about some random stuff that people in this age group or your age group would actually have like an answer for, and then hit them with it. If they haven't got an answer, back off. Shannon, he didn't care. He went out looking for a hole, and he found one, and he fell into it.
Yeah, like I said, there's of course this community of women out there who are just looking for the next dumb idiot who can knock them up and get a big back giant paycheck. At the same time, as a near 60-year-old man who has a lot more to lose than she does, you should be smart enough to understand the situation that you're in. And unfortunately, this is a guy who has not learned this situation and learned his I guess quite literally his lesson from all of this whole thing. There's been talks at FS1 that he had multiple issues with women that he worked with at FS1. There was alleged that there was a few payouts and stuff like that. So this whole thing may be nonsense, but all this is going to be is that this is just the first little, snow dust to fall down to what's going to be a much larger, avalanche full of stuff. Because once her story comes out there, now it's going to be like, well, hey, back in 2015 when I worked for Fox, this happened to me with Shannon, and guess what? There's actually an HR report to back that up. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, clearly this guy has a pattern of behavior with women. Maybe we shouldn't associate with this guy anymore. And apparently there's like $100 million podcast deal that wasn't finalized just yet, but people are looking at, possibly getting rid of that whole thing and 86ing that deal. So like I said, you have far more to lose than anyone else in this whole situation. But guess what? You didn't care because this was all you were concerned about at the end of the day, showing that even at the age of 57, you can still bag, a 20-year-old girl with a big butt. And that's all you cared about. Now this is what you're dealing with. So
But
some
it's
level.
surgical. So what's it matter?
It's surgical.
That's not
Does
real.
anybody think it's funny that okay, and I know Cider doesn't know as much about this as me and you do, but with how Skip Bayless was unceremoniously like fired or let go or whatever, and
yeah,
his whole downfall was kind of breaking up with Shannon. It's just kind of like, hey, the guy who doesn't sexually assault anybody but is just really annoying is looking really good right now, huh? ESPN.
Yep. But then Skip Bayless got his own situation going on right now, because if you guys remember, I think we talked about this a while back ago. He apparently said that he would give some woman like a couple $1 million to sleep with her or something like that, like a makeup artist, and then she's
you're right.
Him again.
You're right, because that had to do with the whole Joy Taylor. That's why all that Joy Taylor information came out, was because of that woman's lawsuit. That's right, the makeup artist.
And what's the other one? Somebody mentioned Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was almost a story here tonight, but I didn't care enough to talk about it. But Bill Belichick, who's like 73 years old, is going out with this like 23-year-old woman that he apparently met on a flight somewhere in like the last year or so, and now the whole thing's starting to look really, really shady because like CBS was talking to him and they asked him like a simple question like, how'd you meet? And she basically shut down the interview question. And it's like, okay, look, if this is some kind of like, ploy or plot or whatever the case may be, you guys had a year, you couldn't come up with a better cover story than how you guys met. I mean, you told people a year ago you guys met on a flight together and you started talking, and somehow you guys really clicked. Like, you couldn't just tell that story. Like, there's allegations now that maybe she's his handler, or maybe she was a hooker, or I don't know what's going on there. But like I said, there's
probably a call girl. Like, I'm sorry, but like, here's the thing. When I first saw the interview yesterday, I was sort of like, or Sunday or whatever it was like, yeah, that doesn't look great, but, and also like, why wouldn't you have better answers? Like, why wouldn't you have better answers for like, how'd you guys meet? Knowing that there's going to be an interview from CBS or whatever. But yeah, I just not really knowing anything about the relationship, like everybody else, it does seem like she might definitely be a call girl. And look, if you're being paid whatever amount of money, like per month, and Bill Belichick he's won how many? He has 8 Super Bowl rings. He won 6 as a head coach and 2 as a defensive coordinator. So he has 8, but
and that's the thing, though. Apparently, having a lot of success doesn't make you smart, because
no,
guys.
And he knows he's at the end of his life. He knows as a coach in the NFL. I know that everybody thinks that like coaches like must be in good shape because they they have to get around. No, they're fat pieces of shit with heart disease. Literally, like so many coaches die in like their 70s. So the fact that Bill Belichick's probably just being like, I don't give a fuck. You can judge me however you want. I'm kick ass at what I did or do, and whatever. This is the end of the ride. So, but it's like he could get screwed over. He could not. It could be a completely different situation than Shannon Sharpe finds himself in. I honestly don't know because we don't have all the information. But yeah.
Yep. Hello, Eddie. How you doing?
Who is the biggest hoe this weekend? These 2 chicks or what's his name? Deion Sanders' boy.
Well, I mean, he got passed around a lot this weekend.
Right. All for the money. For the monies.
That whole thing is going to be such a beautiful disaster. And here's the thing. They drafted him to the Browns because the entire league is testing him. They're trying to see if he's going to crash out of Cleveland, because if he crashes out of Cleveland, not a single team is going to pick him up at that point. If they sent him to Cleveland specifically, it's like, okay, if he can show maturity that they'll completely screw this whole thing up and have a big ego and cause all these issues, maybe we'll give him a second look around. But if he screws up in Cleveland, he's done. And that's really what it comes down to.
This is not like a Miami Hurricanes in the 90s thing, though. This is not like Shadur Sanders is a top quarterback talent and, they're punishing him. No, he's not good enough and he's cocky. It's the worst combination. It's like, oh, you're not good enough and you're an asshole that nobody wants to be around.
It's very simple. People talk about Deion. Deion did that. Like, look, Deion was quite literally a generational talent. Like, was he a cocky son of a bitch? Absolutely he was, but he was great at football and great at baseball. To this day, he is the only player to have played in a Super Bowl and a World Series. The only one. So say what you want about Deion, he had the talent to back up everything he said. His son, on the other hand, does not have the talent. He was 13-12 at Colorado and they retired his jersey. Why? Just why? It's not going to end well.
All I know is that these hoes and Deion Sanders' kid need to learn a thing from Bill Belichick. You got to get the hell out of Cleveland. Get out of Cleveland and your life will be so much better.
That's LeBron.
Exactly.
They haven't had a good quarterback since Bernie Kosar. And when was that? Like 1989?
I was going to say, have they ever had a good quarterback?
They have. I mean, they have.
Tim Couch was a damn good quarterback.
No, it wasn't. Stop it.
You remember the guy with the Browns jersey, and it was just the name of every quarterback they drafted like the last 20 years. Just kept adding names to it.
Don't you dare talk bad about Johnny Football like that.
Oh. That's
Is he
another
still
one.
in Canada?
He had more talent than Shadur Sanders, but he was just a complete fuck up. So,
Moving on to speaking of losers, let's talk about Pedro Pascal here, because this is a story that I want to talk about, because I don't know. I think we're all just sick and tired of Pedro Pascal at this point. He's in absolutely everything. And I don't know. One day I see him wearing a dress. The other day I see him wearing an arm on a sling. Next day he has a black eye. It's like, I don't know what Hollywood is doing to this man behind closed doors. But if there were Diddy tapes out there of someone, I will have to assume that he's on at least 5 at this point. His star rise makes absolutely no sense otherwise. But he got into a little tiff with J.K. Rowling, who once again affirmed that men are men and women are women. But, because Pedro Pascal is an ally of trans rights, he didn't like that. So this is what he had to say. Pedro Pascal calls J.K. Rowling a heinous loser. Is that heinous loser? That is what I said, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Heinous loser.
Hyenas.
Hyenas loser for his latest trans comments here. The Last of Us star, who's also going to be in Fantastic Four, who's also in Star Wars, who's also in all the other shit that's out there, because he's in basically everything. I think he legitimately has like 5 movies that come out this year, and I'm not even joking about that. That's how much crap he's in right now. It's getting annoying. But he blasted J.K. Rowling for her latest trans tweets, calling the author a heinous loser on Instagram. The Last of Us star was responding to a post by activist Tyreek Rahoof, which that sounds Canadian. I don't even know who you are. Who criticized the author for celebrating the Supreme Court of the UK's landmark ruling last week that says that trans women should not be recognized as women, that sex should legally mean biological sex. So, of course, people would actually have a problem with that, because why not? Rowling posted, "I love it when a plan comes together," along with nodding to the critic. "I get the same royalties whenever you read my books or burn them. Enjoy your marshmallow." So she's making it very, very clear she does not care one iota about the people who don't like her, because she refuses to conform to trans ideology. But Pascal wrote in the comment section of his post, "Awful, disgusting shit is exactly right. Heinous loser behavior." So this guy who's been calling for a boycott of the HBO Harry Potter show, which, is she like a producer, or does she have anything to do with the show whatsoever?
Yes.
Or is it just because it's the Harry Potter stuff?
She's
Like,
a
is she-
producer and writer.
yeah.
Okay, then, because I just want to make sure, like, if she was producer just because it's her property, or is she like actively a part of the show? I didn't know
She
one way or
was-
another.
It's not because it's her property. It's because they're paranoid about pissing off the Potterheads and the ones that actually spend money, that don't smell like cat piss, or are Pedro Pascal. But maybe both. But anyway, that's why they brought her in and gave her so much power. Now, again, she's argued that this has nothing to do with like Harry Potter, the books and stuff. This is going to be like a retelling of it. So obviously you're going to have your DEI inserts into it. So again, like, boycotting this, they're going to end up biting themselves in the ass again, like they did with Hogwarts Legacy. And there's not going to be any. There's a trans bartender in Hogwarts Legacy, by the way. Just so you know, and they're not a bad guy, by the way. They're one of the allies you need to team up with in order to complete the fucking campaign. So that whole mess had meant nothing at all.
That whole thing, but that was such a bizarre moment in pop culture history, because it was just like, it's like, look, I make fun of Harry Potter all the time. I hate that millennials are obsessed with it and just love it and can't move on past it. But whatever, if that's your thing, that's cool. And if there's a game that's based on it that you want to play and are excited about, great, go have fun.
So you don't play Quidditch as a grown man?
Playing a fucking video game is so bizarre. And I think we know some people on Twitter who are engaged in that currently. But it's like, what is your problem? You know, like, if you want to critique what is in the game or whatever, I guess that's fine, like any other review. But just like, who cares? It doesn't make anybody anything. It's a fucking video game. But anyway, I'm getting off the beaten path.
Is what's her name? Is Rowling going to play McGonagall or whatever her name was?
Not that I know of.
So, it's when Leslie Tarkin said that Rowling's a crazy leftist. She just doesn't agree with trans. Pretty much, I mean, she's always been an uber feminist. Her only dissension with the left is the whole trans ideology thing. And I know people brought it up too. Like Pedro Pascal has a trans sister, brother, whatever. It's all stupid and confused now. He had a brother that turned trans not too long ago, and now he's going around showcasing his brother sister thing around on the showcase. Now here's the thing.
That's what it was. I was like, what? He has this famous sister, and it turned out it was a trans brother that got famous.
Yeah. So here's the other thing here too. I think it was like Robert De Niro's kid turned trans. I don't know which way he was before.
Because black people made him. He was like identifying with black people, so he decided.
Robert De Niro's child was born male and is now female.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now. I don't care who gets upset. There's a lot of people in Hollywood at the moment who are coming out as trans or having family members coming out as trans. And it's almost as if it's like statistically impossible at the rate that it's currently happening on. All I'm about to say is that I did a Bibleans episode about this very issue, talking about the origins of the transgender movement and how it relates to the demonic god of Ishtar. There's a reason why everyone in Hollywood is coming out as trans now. And it's not because it's natural. It's not because it's the cool thing. It's not because they're allies. There's something far more sinister to it. Go look it up on another day. But the reason I chose this story was, to me, I don't care much about Pedro Pascal. Honestly, I don't care much about J.K. Rowling either. The audacity of someone who dresses like this, a 50-year-old man who dresses like this, to call anyone a loser, it's just like the absolute gall. And here's the thing with Pedro Pascal, why Hollywood pretends to like this guy. Pedro Pascal he claims to have severe anxiety issues, so every time he's at like a red carpet event, he has to like hold the hand of like another woman in order for him to be comfortable or whatnot. Pedro Pascal is Hollywood's example of a completely emasculated man. This is what you're seeing here right now. They're propping him up because they want to use him as the shining example of this is what a man looks like when he goes against toxic masculinity, and pumping all that nonsense up. And it's like, yeah, he supports anything that Hollywood tells him to support. If he supports Palestine, he'll support Palestine. If he's going to support the LGBTQ, he's going to support the LGBT. In the words of the great Conor McGregor, you'll do what you're told. And that is exactly why Pedro Pascal is in absolutely everything. And I think we're all sick and tired of him at this point. And this is an article from the New York Post from a while back ago, but I do want to prop this up here for a second. And of course, it's him wearing a dress at the Met Gala. And it says, women are loving men who embrace the baby girl vibe and ditch toxic masculinity. This is a psyop. And if you fall for this, you are an absolute imbecile. If you actually think that this is in any way, shape, or form a legitimate movie, you are a boob. So, that's like, about as far as I can go.
What would the women find attractive about that? Like, they could see what those clothes look like on someone twice their size? Is that I don't understand.
It's the dungaree shorts.
Well, with Jacob Lordy is literally twice or thrice their size. That man is like what, 6'5". He's a
big dude.
Man.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, like, all three of my fiancés and at least half the girlfriends I had, if not more, gave me every kind of shit for wearing socks all the way to my knees. I never heard the end of it. Like, you're such an old man. It's old man socks. You got these ankle socks. They're cut for your shoes. I hate them because they just end up sinking into your shoes, falling off. So I wear the almost knee-high things that, Grandpa used to wear. And so I have no idea, like, what woman on earth is going to be like, yeah, I want that fella in his knee highs. No, they don't operate like that.
His knee highs.
I'm the opposite. I'm a very short length sock guy, ankle guy.
You like I like crew.
Yeah. And look, Pedro Pascal annoyed me since he showed up on Game of Thrones. That's why I know him. I mean, that's really the only thing. And he gets killed when you don't think he's going to get killed. So, spoiler alert. But everything he's been in, from The Last of Us to that stupid Nicolas Cage movie to, I mean, anything that he shows up in, I'm never like, oh man, that's a really good performance. Like that's a memorable performance. Like that's something like, awesome job. I never ever feel that way when I see him in a movie. And I don't know. So not only is he annoying when he shows up to like promote social issues like this, it just makes me take him less seriously as an artist, as an actor, as somebody whose work I might want to see in an upcoming movie. But again, when you stand out for the wrong reasons and you're famous, it's not good. And
He's
kind of
famous
kills
for
the
his
fan base,
ubiquity.
but who knows who that is?
I'll say that the only thing I really know Pedro Pascal, I'll say it in Spanish, Pedro Pascal, is from, what is it, Gladiator 2, Judgment Day, or whatever that monstrosity thing was. Now, I did check this, and he is distantly related to Salvador Allende, the former Chilean president who was overthrown by Augusto Pinochet, whom Jacob likes because he would toss the commies off the helicopters, and he didn't toss Pedro Pascal's family off. And I'm not going to go into whether he would like
shame.
Yes.
Damn shame. No,
no, it's bueno.
What the hell? I hate Pinochet now.
I just wonder why. I know because he has someone who is trans, and he decided to comment on this. But again, Rowling is not some sort of crazed right winger, and I've said this before. She's very much on the left. She's just found common ground with the right on the trans issue, and she sees it from a feminist perspective. It's like she sees it as men coming into women's spaces and potentially threatening women in safety and in all other aspects. So it's a case of was it the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I don't understand why he has decided to make this like some sort of, I know it's because of his relation. I understand that. But I don't know if he has this much sway that, I was going to watch this new Harry Potter series, which I have no interest in, but now Pedro Pascal is opposed to it, so I'm not going to watch it anymore. I don't think he has that kind of power, even though he is ubiquitous everywhere. Maybe he's just upset that he's not in the Harry Potter show because he's in everything now. So maybe I don't know.
He just got killed off The Last of Us. So.
Oh well, he's free, and he is going to be in the what is in the Fantastic Four film. So there's that. Maybe he'll pop up in Gladiator 3. I don't know. He has a right. Here's the thing for me. He has the right to say what he believes, but he also has to accept that there will be pushback. That's the problem with a lot of famous people. They want to give their views, which they're free to do, but they never want to believe that people will say, well, you know what? I don't want to watch your project because I disagree with you. I don't understand that thinking. So I don't have much to add to this very curious discussion.
Well,
except don't play Quidditch. You're too old. No one here is too old. Everyone here is too old to play Quidditch as grown men. I see people walking, dancing around with their broomsticks. Grow up, for heaven's sakes. It's nonsense.
It's rough. It rates right up there with walking around in your Star Trek gear. Walking around in your Star Wars gear, and on like not Halloween and not a convention. You're just doing that. It rates right up there.
Especially when those white kids' maids are following them. I need the broom.
You're not supposed to become Patton Oswalt, guys.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
It's gross. But so Pascal, Leslie says here, Pascal is in a new Star Wars movie coming out next year, The Mandalorian and Grogu. At this point, as we stand here, unless he knocks Reed Richards out of the park, which I doubt he will, you have The Mandalorian being the most iconic role for Pedro Pascal, in which he babysits a green lawn gnome while wearing a champagne bucket on his head for the entire run of the show. So at this point, the most iconic role he's ever going to have doesn't involve his face or anything other than his, how about that, voice,
If I may play conspiracy theorist for 1 second here, I believe that Pedro Pascal may possibly be gay. Now I have this idea because his brother's sister, right?
Yeah.
Decided to transition to his sister. I think Pedro Pascal is in love with his brother.
Okay.
And so he transitions into a girl, and that's the reason why he has to hold girls' hands all the time in order to feel comfort and non-anxiety and everything, because he wishes he was holding his brother's hand the whole time. And I have no idea what his brother does, but apparently she's a really big something or other.
His brother, it has a big something or other,
So I think that's what Pedro Pascal is. And you could tell all this because the one role that I like Rob said, the one role that he's famous for is in Game of Thrones, where he's having sex with his sister the whole time.
I haven't seen it in so long, so I completely forgot. I just know he dies because the mountain kills him.
Well, most gay people do in those kinds of shows.
I forgot that he was actually he was well known for Narcos. I think he played who's the big drug kingpin that I should know his name? Escobar.
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah,
Escobar.
he played this fat he was fat, but you know what I mean. He's put on weight for the role, where it's like I think a lot of people liked that. I personally didn't like Narcos because they didn't tell the truth. They didn't tell the Gary Webb story about how the DEA, the CIA, basically trafficked drugs into this country, into crack cocaine and all that fun stuff, all that the drug connection. But and I thought that was a perfect opportunity for Netflix to like actually have storytelling balls, and of course they didn't do that, but it's fine. People still like the show. I just kind of checked out after a couple episodes.
Well, let's move over. Here's the question, real quick: Who's going to boycott this show because Pedro Pascal told them to?
You know, Rick, probably Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh God,
he probably won't be seeing it.
I think outside of a seance.
That's a safe bet.
Netflix says you can't share your password with living people.
Yeah,
they didn't say you couldn't
Hillary
share
Clinton
it
is going to
with
do a
Netflix.
seance and bring up Jeffrey Epstein and talk about good times.
Mm-hmm. And here comes Anthony Weiner.
Let's talk a little bit about pro wrestling now, because if you thought you guys were being fleeced after Las Vegas, just wait until you see the prices for New York and New Jersey. So this coming August, WWE is doing its first ever 2-night SummerSlam show. So now SummerSlam is 2 nights in a football stadium in New Jersey. So again, if you thought you were getting fleeced in Las Vegas, you can only imagine how much those New York prices are going to cost you with all the taxes and the low vacancy rates and the lack of Ubers. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
The envelopes you got to give to mob bosses to make sure the show goes off without a hitch.
The Haitian cab drivers giving you the side eye as you go into your lift.
It's mostly Indians. Just saying, I was just there, but yeah,
they're wonderful people.
Even the Haitians have been priced out of New York.
Right.
All right. Well, here's the story. So this has been confirmed now. WWE has released its Elite Plus package prices for front row center seats for SummerSlam, a 2-night show. The tickets start at $40,000 per person per night.
Holy shit. That's insane.
But wait, guys, it's going to be totally worth it, because here's what's included. You get a front row seat to SummerSlam in a football stadium in August in New Jersey. You'll get a premium front row seating, an in-ring photo op at SummerSlam before the show, private transportation to the event, which I don't think that's going to help you much at all if you got to go from New York.
It's Ahmed. Ahmed with his lift is going to show up.
They'll send you a lift. I was going to say they'll send you an Uber.
It's going to be Hassan from Pakistan. He's going
No, they're going to send you one of those helicopters.
They're wonderful people.
They're gonna bring
hey,
cream of the earth people.
You get a private section, all-inclusive pre-show hospitality party with superstar appearances by Kevin Nash, who is almost 70 and retired.
More.
He's just gonna drink wine in the corner the whole time, not even talking unless you have a girl with you.
Usually, if you have more than one guy, you say Kevin Nash, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the Wild Man, other guy, and more. But when you only have one guy, you say Kevin Nash, and hopefully whoever shows up for hors d'oeuvres.
To be fair, the guy he usually goes with has been gone for a couple of years, so.
Well, it's just one of those things. Like nobody's gonna call up the Gravedigger to show up and take pictures.
So there's more. You get a post-show press conference access. You get to sit with all the marked reporters and ask Triple H questions after the show is over.
Who wants to ask questions after this stupid show's done? Hey, did it work out the way I thought there, buddy?
How does it feel to be bald and utterly disrespected by all the people who used to revere your name?
How does it feel? How does it feel that the only time you actually got a decent pop in your entire career, you had to be out of commission for 8 to 10 months?
How does it feel not having an erection for the last 18 months?
How does it feel in motorboat stepping big old titties?
How does it feel to know The Rock is better than you in life and everything?
He's even taller than you.
How does it feel to know that? How does it feel to know that Stone Cold Steve Austin is still the only person that generates money in this whole company?
Well, especially since The Rock is guaranteed an Oscar nomination, so there's that.
You got to give Austin that, right? Like he's sitting on a ranch somewhere in a lazy boy cracking a beer while he's getting royalty checks and that kind of stuff. And those guys still got to go out.
Did he get a pension from when he was governor?
Austin 316 is still one of WWE's top 10 selling merchandise shirts in 2025.
Yes.
The number 3 babyface uses his move as a finish.
So, yeah, right.
And that's just it. It's like you got like The Rock and Cena and all these Kevin Nash just still hanging on for dear life, trying to scratch 2 pennies together about this, trying to make it work.
Hey, Triple H, when you had your 3rd daughter because you couldn't have a son, did you just give up at that point and just say fuck it? I guess my legacy
was it like
is
striking out 3 times on fatherly legacy. Who will you pass the torch to?
How does it feel knowing that Stephanie and Vince had a kid on TV, and he was a boy instead of your daughters?
Hey, Triple H, don't you think that it's weird that your top female draw, Rhea Ripley, looks exactly like your ex-girlfriend who you refused to talk to 20 years after you left her for Stephanie McMahon, and then she died?
And she didn't look like that when you met her.
Yeah, not at all.
After having sex with your best friend?
Yeah, right.
Jacob.
Triple H was very good at like shooting a promo or whatever because he was such a fantastic asshole. But it just turns out that he really is just an asshole.
Just an asshole.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good at it.
Highlight the positives, hide the negatives.
That's right.
Jacob, it might be worth the $40,000. See if you can win the lottery. It might be worth the $40,000 just to go there and fuck with him, like on live television. Just straight up ask him like that question about China, and just mic drop it. Just leave him there with it.
But she's still not in the Hall of Fame, right?
No, wait a minute. You get access. You don't get. It doesn't say you get to ask questions.
How come you want China in the Hall of Fame now that she's dead? But when she was begging and crying for you to speak to her right before she died, you want nothing to do with her. Don't you? That's kind of weird and odd.
Well, I just want to know who's the more. You got Kevin Nash, but who's the more? Who's going to be more?
I just like the point asking all these questions. If this was done like not even 20 years ago, we'd all be shot.
Yeah. Hey, Triple H, is it true that she fucked Christy Hemme and that's why she got fired in 2005?
By the way, who hasn't fucked Christy Hemme? I love you, honey. Please call me back.
By the way,
is it true that none of you know how to reclaim the Attitude Era and just seem to live in the shadow of Steve Austin to this very day?
Triple H, don't you think it is weird you have to give yourself 14 world titles only to still be half as over as Steve Austin and The Rock?
There you go.
And less respected than Eddie Guerrero.
But look, you see, if you read further down, if you read further down,
he's less respected than Juventud Guerrero at this point.
Yeah, right.
Hoovy.
The juice is
Even
loose.
Gold Dust has more credibility than Triple H at this point, man.
At least Goldust has been through some shit.
Yeah, right. He died. That guy died.
No, he's still alive. He wished he died, but he's still alive.
They electrocuted him to death, and he came back.
I like
Goldust.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I totally forgot about that.
Oh man!
But yeah.
By
right?
the way, there's still more. Just real quick,
no.
You also get tickets to the SmackDown and the Raw at Madison Square Garden during this time period as well. So it's not just SummerSlam. You get to go to SummerSlam week. It's now a week-long extravaganza.
Wow.
Wow, you go from the rats of the fucking Madison Square Garden to the cockroaches of the other place. This is fantastic.
Now, maybe if they threw in all those shows that Rob took in, then maybe that would sweeten the pot. Like
absolutely,
you get to see Glengarry Glen Ross, you get to see the Bobby Darin musical. Then maybe I'd consider it.
What, Beyond the Sea?
I love Beyond
is that what it's
now,
called?
Now, guys,
the movie. I don't know what the play's
well,
called.
no, there's a musical. No, it's Just in Time. It's a new jukebox musical about Bobby Darin.
I trust you.
Now, guys, if $40,000 is too much for you to spare, there is the $32,500 tickets that you can buy. You don't get access to Raw and SmackDown, and you don't get access to the All Elite seating, but you still get access to Kevin Nash. So,
thank God.
And more.
Yeah, you might get more access to Kevin Nash than you'd like.
Hold on. So it's the New York skyline in the back, but it's New Jersey. I just want to.
Yes.
It's the Sopranos opening of SummerSlams.
It's the same thing with the football team. They're called the New York Giants, but they play in East Rutherford, New Jersey, so they have to claim both because
there's only one New York team that plays in New York, and that's the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Well, just right there, New Jersey, New Jersey as that skyline.
Yeah.
By the way, the last time they did a show at this building, it was WrestleMania 35, about like 6 years ago. It was a 7.5-hour wrestling show. They ended the show at roughly 11:30. No, I think it was actually at past midnight on the East Coast. And then the show ended so late that half the fans actually got stranded in New Jersey because all the ferries had stopped going after midnight and they couldn't get back to New York where their hotel was. So it was kind of a disaster the last time they did this. But now you get to enjoy that disaster again, but pay significantly more money than you did the last time around. So get going, WWE.
Well, do you get to stay with Kevin Nash if you get stranded?
Does Kevin Nash give you a ride back to your hotel?
Hey, Kev, can I hit your ride on your diesel?
Kevin
No,
Nash
you get
is
to
running
camp out.
to take everybody home.
No, you get to stay at the same place. You know, you all have a big camp out with Kevin Nash. That should be a selling point.
If I could ask Kevin Nash about the Dragon Ball Z movie, I wouldn't mind sitting next to him.
You probably would make a best friend because I'm pretty sure that nobody talks to him about that at all.
No.
He's probably got a lot of stories to tell you about just what the hell happened. You know?
The dude got stabbed making the Punisher movie, like legit. Yeah. Like he has stories.
Yeah,
Thomas
Jane forgot to switch out the knife, and he was just like legit stabbing Kurt.
All I would do if I was is, are you related to Steve Nash? That would be my big question.
They're about the same height.
You know what, Rick? Kevin Nash is 65 years old. If you ask him that question, I would legitimately hope he power bombs you as a shoot.
I mean, for what? That's the only Nash I know.
Well, for what is it? Right.
Nash and Young. Do you still play with Crosby? I know he's dead, but like these are the kind of questions I would ask.
What question can I ask Kevin Nash to ensure that he punches me square in the face?
Were you sitting in the corner when Sean was doing Pamela Anderson?
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if anybody remembers Grandma's Boy, but he's like one of the movers,
right?
And like they thought, like Alan Covert thought he was all paid up, and Rob Schneider like comes, he's the landlord, and he's just like, basically gets Kevin Nash to like physically assault him for not paying rent for the last 6 months. But yeah, I mean that I think someone in the chat was saying that he was the Super Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He's also in that awful, what was it, Dead or Alive movie that no one ever talks about ever.
I will go out of my way and pay the money just so I can convince him to be on the Barroom podcast. We'll ask him all of these questions.
It's funny because I don't watch him so much anymore, but one of my favorite YouTube and they're not so much on YouTube or whatever, but Revenge of the Sith, like they made fun of Kevin Nash so bad because I mean I don't know, they kind of made the case that he was like cashing in on his son's death. So like I don't know, I kind of feel weird when it comes to Kevin Nash, but I'm sure you guys would have a really fun show. So there's that.
So there you go, man. Pay $40,000, go live when you're in line talking to Kevin Nash and be like, all right, man, this fucking sucks. Let's go talk about Dragon Ball and talk about the Punisher, and we'll talk about that time you were the Super Shredder. And he'd be like, oh, thank God. Let's go, dude. We got a place where we can smoke weed. Let's go. And it's just you just spend the afternoon talking about back.
Be like, look,
Nash about the worst movies in Hollywood, you know?
Look, Nash, I'm gonna level with you here. I don't give a shit about pro wrestling. I just want to talk about the Ninja Turtle movie.
And he'd be like, "Oh my God, I haven't talked about the Turtles in 10 minutes. Let's go."
Yeah.
Find out that Kevin Nash is like a gigantic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, quite literally, and and he like took the job for free just so he could be like in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle property. That would be great to find out. His like whole house is full of it everywhere you go.
Now,
here's my question for Nash: how are you from Detroit and still liberal after everything that's happened over the last 20 years? Like, do you not think that it's a problem at this point?
I'm looking up Kevin Nash because I'm not familiar with him.
We do have to look up Kevin Nash.
Apparently,
well, no, you definitely have to look up the Kevin Nash.
I'm the same.
I have to look up Kevin Nash because I don't know who this person really is. I was unaware that he was in the Magic Mike movies because obviously I would watch them.
He's big and strong, yes.
And I just want to ask him, what's Sabrina like? Because apparently he was on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So I want to know what is Melissa Joan Hart like in real life? That would
probably
be my question.
Insufferable, like she is in real life.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, she seems like a nice person, but
yes, you do, Rick.
How much money can we pay Kevin Nash to jackknife Rick through a table? How much can we pay to get that on video?
You'd pay the whole $40,000. You'd have a GoFundMe
yes,
for that.
$40,000 would be completely worth it.
Just sign an insurance form, okay? Just do that.
By the way, Kevin, if you're watching, thank you very much. We actually really enjoy your work. You're a really great wrestler, and we hope
you're
you
a
actually do.
Wrestler, Kevin.
We hope you actually show. We hope you actually show. You have 5 moves. Yes, you have 5.
Just to answer the question, I had to look that up on Wikipedia. The only Magic Mike movie I saw was The Last Dance, and that was because Jacob forced me to. I had to review that awful.
Imagine going to a pro wrestling event as a 40-year-old man and asking Kevin Nash about the Magic Mike movies.
That'll get you punched in the face.
And being 5'7" when you do it.
You gotta look up. You gotta look up like Ryu looking up at Saget.
Well, fine. You guys put up the $40,000. I'm there, but I'll do it. I will do this. But you've got to throw in the Bobby Darin musical. Okay, I love Bobby Darin, so
now
I need to go see that.
You guys, you may want to put in some dental shirts too.
I want tough guy. I want tough guy Rick to like go up to Kevin Nash and put his finger against his chest. Hey, what was it like making Magic Mike the Last Dance?
He wasn't in Magic Mike the Last Dance, was he? I don't think so.
He was there via Skype.
I wouldn't know any of
Rick,
this.
You've seen The Water Boy, right?
Yes.
Okay, when Adam Sandler literally calls into the wrestling show and he asks if he can be, I forget what is Captain Insano.
Psycho Man.
No, that's Paul White. That's not Kevin.
No. I know. I'm explaining. I'm just saying like that. That's literally like what. But that's like the situation that we're talking about, where it's like you'd be going up to Kevin Nash and being like, "Hey, let's talk to me about Magic Mike." It's the equivalent of calling into a wrestling show and being like, "Can I be your water boy?" as a 40-year-old man. You know what I mean? So it's just there you go. There's your.
I really don't understand this point. You know, I don't understand who this person is, nor do I understand why people would pay $40,000, which is probably a little less than my annual salary, to go and see this person and sit in the post show press conference, listening to someone talk about how great their show was. This is such a bizarre series of selling points. I even the bargain one at $32,000. That's really just why would you do that? Why? You're pricing your I guess your fans, whoever, really out of the market. They're not. I don't know.
And that's the thing now, because like I said, TKO has officially owned WWE for about 2 years now. So TKO, the same people who own the UFC, if you have UFC tickets, they're not cheap anymore. They're not even remotely cheap. Like you can't go anywhere on the floor for less than like $1,300 now. And that's probably generous, giving some of the pay-per-view events. It's not cheap to go to the UFC, and now it's no longer cheap to go to WWE because now they want you to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars. And here's what I think the problem is that with wrestling fans, I don't think there's a line with many wrestling fans where they just say, okay, you know what, I can't do this anymore and I'm not going to support this, because for most wrestling fans today who are still watching, wrestling is their entire life. Like their entire life revolves around wrestling. These are the people who watch 18 to 20 hours of wrestling promotions you have never heard of, nor do you have any interest in figuring out who they actually are. And they're willing to throw away all of their life savings onto pro wrestling. These are not people with children. These are not people with lives outside of the circle. Their bubble is WWE, Stardom, AEW, New Japan, and whatever the fuck company in Germany that exists. And if TKO is like, hey, look, these guys are complete suckers, we can literally get them to spend 5 and 6 figures to go to our bullshit wrestling events, they're going to do it. So this is your future now, unless you guys actually have the balls to say, no, we're not going to continue to support this. If you guys buy all these tickets and sell out these shows, you're going to be looking at literally 5 figures to go to a mid pro wrestling show at best. Because keep in mind, WrestleMania that happened about a week or two ago got absolutely lambasted. People hated WrestleMania, and guess what? They still got your money. They still got your money. So
this is just something I wanna ask. Like, I've never been to a concert of my own volition. My first fiance was like into live music, so we were constantly going to it, and I absolutely hated it. And because it's just annoying. It's like everything's too loud. Everybody's talking. There's a smell of booze in the air and a dirty diaper. Who the hell wants to hang around with that for hours on end in a front row?
And there's only
Anyway,
two good albums.
Now, were all these concerts in Maine? Maybe that.
Yes,
was
they were, and just on coastal Maine. It's just how it is. It was like in a parking lot. She liked that kind of atmosphere of just some garage band strumming their hearts out. You know, I got nothing against them. It's just I don't like having a speaker 10 feet from my face. It's just not. It's not awesome. That was her thing. She loved feeling the music, like slapping the back of her brain. But my point is like, I'm anti like get together and get screamed at. You know, I don't really dig that thing. Why do people do this still? I understand back in the day, this was the only chance you were going to get to see like Hulk Hogan in HD, because that didn't exist. You got him fuzzy on your TV if you could even get it on your TV. You went to the pay-per-view events because they weren't going to be televised. You'd have to wait a year or 8 months to get the VHS tape. So I understand where the allure was 20 years ago. But now that you have drone footage of this shit, you could sit around in your underwear, jerk off to the halftime show. I don't even know if they have one. And you don't even have to get out of your bed. You know, what is $40,000 actually getting you as like going out into this event? I just don't understand.
Well, it is getting you the
anti-crowd, I guess.
It is getting you the transportation.
Kevin Nash drives you around in an Uber.
Kevin Nash drives you around, and then he takes you to watch Magic Mike.
This is what I was.
I still want to put over Kevin Nash, and I'd like to put over Sean Oliver. I love kayfabe commentaries.
Look, the point of this is you're an absolute sucker if you're spending these prices to go to a WWE show at this point. You're an absolute fool, and a lot of people are going to be proud fools.
And listen, I spend hundreds of dollars to attend NFL games. When I go, I do, and they're good tickets. I get my money's worth. I probably get gypped, honestly, because if I'm spending $450 to $600 a ticket, you know what I mean? Because the team stadium that I'm visiting, you know, has been relatively successful, or you know, good and well-run franchise. That's kind of what it costs now. I would never I wouldn't pay that much to go to the Super Bowl. And that's a once in a lifetime thing. Yep. $40,000? Are you fucking insane?
I mean, if you got $40,000 to spare, you can legitimately go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
You legitimately go to the Super Bowl.
No, I'm just curious, Rob. How much did you pay for the Glengarry Glen Ross tickets?
Don't love, you know, saying it, but it's fine. I paid about $430 for my ticket.
But they were good seats.
Yeah, no, it was row R in the orchestra. So yeah.
Wow.
had a good seat. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And
like
again,
to point
that's a once in a lifetime thing.
Absolutely.
I mean,
So
once in a decade thing.
the thing
a couple
is,
of things. We'll go ahead, Eddie.
The thing is that we have to realize that this is a business that literally has a term for these kinds of people that'll spend this kind of money, and it's called a money mark. They will spend. People will spend people will put their houses up. I've seen it, just so that wrestlers show up at their high school arena, or for wrestlers to show up to do some sort of ribbon cutting somewhere that has nothing to do with them. They just wanted the wrestlers to show up, and they'll put their houses up. I've seen it. These people are money marks, and there's plenty of money marks to go around. And I guarantee
houses.
They're houses. I've seen it, bro.
I want to put this up real quick. There was a story not too long ago, if you guys recall, about the people who go to Coachella, right? And Coachella is a whole different breed of retard, but they're all retards at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And what they were saying is that people were financing tickets to go to Coachella, which I'm assuming was anywhere of like 5 figures to go to that event. So people are aggressively stupid now. They're aggressively stupid at this point. Like I don't know what everyone is going into financial ruin for with these degrees. Maybe you guys just need to take a few business classes. Maybe you should understand how money works.
Concerts. Spend as much money.
And I'll say something real quick. Like my adolescence, my teenage years, even early 20s, I went to, at Cider's talking, I guess, about like local wrestling stuff. I went to like these like musical shows, like the local music scene. Like that's what that's what I was into. But even then it was like metal, and I don't like metal, but I was there because it was like, that's where the girls were that I wanted to like, you know what I mean? Like be around. And so, but he's right. It's uncomfortable. It's loud. It smells. It's a gross, kind of like
what
club.
You guys go to? The ones I've been to have been pretty good, respectable.
I do have very good memories. But yeah, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like
there wasn't anything like that. Yeah, it wasn't anything like that when I went to see Stevie Nicks. There wasn't anything like that.
Right.
Okay, there was something odd when I went to see Dave Matthews, but that doesn't matter. There wasn't anything like that when I saw Morrissey or when I saw Linkin Park. What concerts do you guys go to where all of this is going on?
I feel so horrible now that I actually like those kind of concerts now, and like I like the griminess and stuff like that.
Look, the last time I went to this public stuff it was called a Cosmic Clash, and it was out in the woods. Some guy had like inherited a farm from his grandfather and had no intention of growing anything on it. So he turned the woods into like this infinite drug runner, get high in the woods, possibly commit terrible acts out there while music is blasted at the absolute loudest it can be. So I went there under Rob's pretense that like, well, girls will be there. I'm single now, and this is between my first and second fiance. So I was, I was feeling like it was over with. You know what I mean? So I got out there, and I was a sober guy because I drive for a living. I back then I drove for a living, so I didn't want to like risk anything. So I was like the one sober guy out in the middle of the woods, and I'm not shitting you. The single Satanist woman that I know in this entire state emerged from the darkness of the woods, wrapped herself around me, and drove her tongue down my throat, spent the night grinding on me, then fell asleep on a couch for 4 hours on my lap.
Oh my God.
And then she ran for governor.
Close.
You got assaulted by the Blair Witch.
Yeah, it was nuts. I was talking to this Indian guy about his breakup, and she just latched right onto me. Like I tasted everything she ate over the last 6 months.
Oh my God.
And it was nuts. And she's twerking on me in front of everybody and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't do this. I just came here to.
You see,
this was the kind of girl I wanted to meet.
This did not happen to me, but then I go see people like Audra McDonald and Tony Bennett. So nobody grinded on me when Tony was singing. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the Weather Channel
paid hundreds of dollars to see those people. This is literally like local recreation that Cider's talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas again, and
I paid a good amount of money to go see Yitzhak Perlman. So this is the kind of thing
look, I've been to the Wonder Ballroom in Portland. I've been to the Showbox in Seattle. Like I've been to like good venues and good clubs and I've had a good time. But yeah, it's still like, if you want to be near the band, you're with a bunch of other people. that are like fighting
Real
for a
other.
spot, that elbow people out of the way so your fucking girlfriend can get like a good spot for her fucking birthday. And so just it can be incredibly irritating, but it's like, it's
the
you sign up for
concerts the concerts that we want to avoid are the ones that we talked about last week where you get crushed to death.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, if you go to a Limp Bizkit concert, you're taking a risk with your life. That's pretty safe
on any continent.
Second best concert I ever went to was Metallica with the San Francisco Orchestra. So you can't really judge a book by its cover when it comes to music.
I didn't get that.
So
it was just some stoners with mixers and out in the woods.
Wow,
this didn't happen when I went to see this. When I went to see George Strait and Reba, there was none of that. See, so
that was like never mind.
My favorite part is the guy that eats too many edibles and then thinks he can fire dance and finds out pretty quick he can't. Almost causes a wildfire.
That would be worth $40,000.
Are they usually?
It will be.
Are they usually? Are they usually about my size? Just so I can...
No. For whatever reason, they get out in the woods and these twiggy guys that are like scarecrows, they get like a 2-pound block of brownie, of the weed brownie, and just hork that thing down like the fat kid in Matilda.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, the whole night is just a complete blur for those guys.
And then they go and fire dance. How about a little fire scarecrow?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what happens.
Yeah, the closest was when I went to the Dave Matthews Band concert, and I was the only one not drunk.
They were moshing incredibly. They were throwing super kicks, punching people out.
The fat guys were the ones that were doing vodka and uppers. The pills that
that sounds like fat guys. Yeah.
Vodka. Yeah, they were around the coffee. They were at the coffee. Wow. I'm blitzed myself. They were around the fire pit there, and they were blowing fire at each other, and that's how the fire guy got the idea to fire dance.
Oh. Is this where they started the Burning Man thing?
No. This is a bunch of rednecks and other.
This conversation is going on for entirely too long.
You know what? For what it is,
quick.
when you talk about pro wrestling, you're going to talk about some real seedy shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Real quick, I know Kevin Nash has been the running joke here for this entire night. I wanted to play this video here real quick before we move on. This is Kevin Nash talking about an incident that occurred 30 years ago at MTV Spring Break, where he basically charged a guy who threw a battery at him at a show, and he actually tells us what happened to that guy after the fact. There you go.
But first, Rob D says, "Hey fellas, love the podcast. Somehow this clip came across my feed on YouTube. Kevin, do you remember this? And did you ever find the guy afterwards?" This is, of course, the clip from Daytona on MTV, right? This was the
Panama City.
Panama City.
Oh, yeah, the Nitro? Oh, no, the Spring Break, and then they were doing Nitro.
This is a news clip of the event.
I just have to point this out just real quick before we move on here. Just to show you how much wrestling has changed now, and I know we spent all the time talking about how people are paying $40,000 for this crap now. Scott Hall, when he was at his height in the NWO, referred to himself at once upon a time as the medium-sized main, right? Right. Scott Hall is 6'6", 280 pounds. He considered that medium size compared to the size of wrestlers in 1996. So, yeah, I just thought that was funny.
Clip of the event.
And the medium sized man. It was The Rock.
Where the hell do you get a rock from?
They're in the beach.
Yeah, I guess.
Literally just looking in.
They're surrounded by rocks that have integrated.
So this is literally
how come you didn't sell it? It's an old wrestling move. You throw the sand in the eyes and then you...
Right.
This is literally what would have happened if an angry Kevin Nash had charged someone the size of either Rick or Cider.
Yeah. Angry ass fucking angry Kevin Nash.
Going straight roid rage.
You're better than Channing Tatum, I would have said.
All right.
I still
So,
confuse those two. Like
obviously
Cena
you
and
found
Tatum
him
all the
because
time.
you had him.
Oh
there.
yeah. So I had him arrested.
What was it? A rock?
Yeah, he threw a rock at me.
Okay.
And it was so funny because
Happens.
he threw the rock, and I knew where it came from. So I sold it, and I fucking just turned and I looked, and I stared, and everybody fucking went like this to him. I just looked at him like, fuck, like, dude, like, you know, and I think it was by nature. And fucking, man, he took off running. I covered some ground and some fucking, I had to jump off that.
In sand, too,
I was
right?
on that, yeah, on that crippled leg. That's that fucking mom picking up the car off her kid fucking shit.
That's right. Adrenaline there. Yeah.
I fucking was running behind him. It took me about 3 times like a lion. I was trying to fucking knock his feet together. And finally, I knocked his feet together. And he went down. And I fucking turned. I went to pull my hand back. He was a fucking little punk.
I saw your hand go like this. When you had him with pinned with the one hand.
Because I always open. I mean, my whole thing is, if you got a fucking temper like I do, you should probably bare palm before you punch him.
Right.
That's what my grandmother taught me.
The difference between manslaughter and assault.
Yeah, I always.
That's what she said.
I always hit people with an open hand. Because I've hit people before with my fist, and it's just, I mean, it cost me a lot more that way.
Very
no,
good.
so this kid got arrested. His fucking father and him filed suit against me. So I get summoned.
For what?
Wait,
What's the charge?
Hold on, I'm choking. Give me a
Chasing
minute.
the sun?
I think they call it a witch hunt. So
right.
Absolutely. I believe you,
Those
Kev.
fucking documents in your bathroom.
You.
So go ahead. They file suit.
So they file a suit, and I call the attorney. I don't even get my attorney involved in it. I just call the attorney up. And I said, dude, you do realize, and I read him the case number. And so you can jot all this stuff. I said that your client was arrested for what he did. And did fucking like 9 months or 9 weeks. No, 9 months. He did like 9 months in jail for this. Because he was public intoxicating. I mean, they got him for some shit.
Florida
They
hates
had
that
intent
stuff.
to do harm.
So the guy calls the dad up and he's like, dude, you didn't tell me. He says, well, does that matter? He goes, yeah, it matters. He goes, you can't sue somebody for basically a crime committed against them by the person.
Right.
You know, it's like OJ suing.
Dummy.
I love it. I love it when wrestlers like go through like epiphanies. They're like, "Oh my god, there it is."
Mm-hmm. Now wait a minute. Now there's an idea. Get the guy who threw the rock and his father to go and meet Kevin Nash, and that'll pay the $40,000 to see a rematch.
That didn't work. We have one of those happen in real life. It didn't work out for New Jack.
I kind of want to see.
We need that. We need that, and then get a couple of the MTV rap guys to MC. I mean, no, we can get this. That would be worth $40,000, and the Bobby Darin musical.
I wouldn't mind seeing sort of mix a lot with all of them.
I still would rather see like an Ed, Edd and Eddie animation style of a teenager grabbing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and throwing him at Kevin Nash, and it just glancing off of Kevin Nash and falling onto the floor, and then Kevin Nash like turning into a lion and pouncing on that kid, you know?
And then the cat Sabrina will pop up and MC the whole show.
Do you smell what The Rock's cooking? Bank.
I'm glad you guys are mentioning The Rock, because he's our next topic here. The Rock is doing an Oscar bait movie. So the movie that you guys, He's called The Smashing Machine. It's the story of Mark Kerr, who is a legend from the outlaw days of the UFC. And I will say this, the makeup team did a very, very good job, because everyone's talking about how this does not look like The Rock at all. But then again, when you're only used to seeing The Rock look the exact same in every single movie he's ever been in his entire life, when he puts in the effort of attempting to look like a different person, it is kind of thing. So people are claiming that they think that this is his Oscar bait movie. No one has seen it yet, so we don't know how good this is supposed to be or gonna be, but this is The Rock in The Smashing Machine.
Probably looking
Yeah,
at
I
my
don't
eyes.
recognize him. He looks a lot smaller.
How did that happen?
He does. Holy crap.
Well, have you ever heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC?
That's the bloody thing they're trying to ban.
This guy is the best he has ever seen.
Do you hate each other when you fight?
Absolutely not.
How do you know Mark Kerr?
Oh, we go way back. But he's a buddy of mine.
Come on, baby. Too much?
Never.
Too much?
No.
Please welcome in his Octagon debut, Mark Kerr!
Winning is the best feeling there is. It's 40,000 people, and they're cheering you on. There's no other high like it in the world. No contract, no money?
No money.
Do you have any stronger pain medication?
Advil?
Advil?
Yeah.
Don, would you like?
No.
They're handing them out like candy. Let's all get in. Everybody get in. Yeah, Don, can you take this picture for us?
Yeah.
What are you thinking at the beginning of the fight?
It's simple. Am I going to hurt him before he hurts me?
Yes, there were I'm sure
This Grand Prix to crown the greatest fighter in the world. He has come back from the brink. Let's see if he can pull out a victory over Mark Coleman.
Have you spoken to either about fighting such a good friend for a life-changing amount of money?
I just need you to let me in.
Always about you. Only about fighting you.
Let's fucking go. My big strong man, I love
I think he wants your autograph.
Sure, no problem. No fighting.
So that movie comes out in October. Like I said, trailer looks intriguing for someone who's a longtime MMA fan. We'll see how that goes. You guys notice that there's a few pro wrestlers and MMA fighters that are in that film as well. So it should be interesting to see how that mixes together. Rick, I'm going to start this one off with you. What is your take on Rock taking a more serious role? What did you look like the trailer? Is there anything you liked? What is your take on him trying to be a serious actor at the age of 52?
I'm not overwhelmed. A trailer could look nice and the movie really be bad. There's no way of knowing this. I'm reminded of certain things. First, the idea that he's like almost a front runner now based on one trailer is an absurdity. We had this situation.
Hey,
pop up
Sinners is going to be the movie that wins all the awards now. We're only
it
5
will
months
win.
in.
It's Criterion. It's going to get it in a couple weeks. But who knows? Honora is getting a Criterion, and apparently it's one of the great films of the 20th century with her generation's
They
Katharine
won
Hepburn.
Oscars.
So yeah, so there you go. I'll say this: it is intriguing. It'll be interesting because I'm not familiar with this world. But we had this kind of talk with Zac Efron and the Iron Claw. People were saying, "Oh, he's definitely going to get in. It's going to, sweep. It's going to dominate." What happened? 0 nominations for it. Let's watch the movie first before we decide to declare this person already a front runner. As for Dwayne Johnson trying to be a serious actor, well, I guess he needs to do something in between Fast and Furious films. If this is what he wants to do, good luck. It kind of worked with Adam Sandler. It's the same writers, right? The same writer director who did Uncut Gems.
Not
that
quite.
also, well, it's
Half
some
the team.
same half the
Yes.
team, yes. So that they thought Sandler was going to get a nomination. What happened? Nothing. Despite, and he got lavish praise for it. I have not seen
That was a bloodbath, though. 2019 was a bloodbath of nominees. So like
So
DiCaprio, De Niro, and
we
of
don't
course
know.
Joaquin Phoenix, who won.
We don't know. Let's just watch the movie. Let's not already declare a front runner or a winner. People were talking about Joker Folie à Deux being a front runner and like getting major Oscar considerations. Let's watch the movie. He wants to be a serious actor. I guess this is his one shot. People who transition from sports to film or other genres want to always try to be a serious actor. Like I said, Zac Efron tried it. We'll see. Best of luck to him. But let's see the movie before we declare him the successor to Adrian Brody.
Oh, God. Can we show this one here?
We'll find out.
This probably be a good. Yeah, just in case, it'd probably be a good time to remind people that we are on Rumble here. So if any case we happen to get cut out here on YouTube, go to that link. We will not be dropping out here, but let's go ahead and show this here for a second.
So until they make a movie of this fight, I don't care. All right, Dwayne missed the bullet. He should have done Dan Fry versus Yoshihiro Takayama. Just watch this.
The greatest fights in the history of UFC or in fighting in general.
Fighting in general, I don't think two men have ever beat the hell out of each other. Even cavemen didn't go this hard at each other.
Exactly. This is amazing. And the greatest thing about this, not only is Don Fry just a pure, absolute specimen of a man, but Takayama taking the beating and everything, putting his life on. Literally,
his face is destroyed
for the love that he has of pro wrestling. Yes, and then wham, right in the fucking forehead.
And then back
this is the days of pride. There were no rules.
He knocked the mouth guard out of him, and they're still going. That's not Dan's blood, by the way. That's not Dan's blood.
That's all Takayama. And look at him.
Look at him.
Like a prune. Like a prune. Oh my goodness.
He's trying. Yeah.
No one.
Look at this.
It's like an
It's not often you see the Japanese guy being taller than the American guy.
I mean, with the other film, the Smashing Machine, there, is it an Oscar bait type film? I mean, you've got Emily Blunt, so you've got.
The thing
you're
is,
trying to be very classy.
It's the same studio that produced the Iron Claw, so it's A24. I didn't think the Iron Claw was Oscar bait, but I also respect. Let me not fuck this up. Josh Safdie more than Sean Durkin. You know, I trust his track record more. And he tends to do projects that he really believes in. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it has potential. I've wanted The Rock to be a good actor for a long time, just because if I'm going to sit there, I should at least get something out of it. This does look like it has potential. This does look like it's something I'm going to look forward to seeing. But yeah, it's like anything else. Uncut Gems, I thought was very good. I thought that Adam Sandler gave a good enough performance to get nominated in 2019, or for the 2019 year, I should say. But yeah, it like Rick said, it's a crapshoot. It could be a great trailer, and the movie isn't very good. But I like Josh Safdie. I like him as a writer director. I know him and his brother kind of split up there, but The Rock is doing this, and he's doing a Scorsese film, which apparently got the green light with, and I think Emily Blunt's in that one too. But yeah.
Here's a wild card. Here's a wild card. I mean, the performance might actually be good. We all might actually be impressed. But will Academy members really want to nominate The Rock?
What other options do they have? And that's kind of what we were saying earlier.
They have the option to say no.
But I mean, like, you're still kind of grading this as if the Academy has the same standards it did like 40, 50 years ago. Like, we're talking about 2025 standards. Like, there may not be many more performances better than The Rock at this point, just from the sheer quality standpoint alone.
Well, there was Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, so that's obviously already
at least The Rock is playing to type. You know, like he's trying to go the Rocky route. You know, he's going to try to play a tough guy, and he's a tough guy himself. I think this is going to be a little bit more believable than the Iron Claw, just because Zac Efron had to like learn how to, you know, be physical and everything else, that kind of physicality. And The Rock is naturally that way. So I think that's gonna help a lot in this whole thing and all.
He's kind of playing himself, isn't he?
Essentially, yeah.
I'm kind of The Rock if he didn't make it through WWE.
Right. I mean, that's really what you're doing here. Big muscle guy who's good at what he does, gets into a rough time about it because things go sideways on him. It's pretty much the story, you know? And so I don't think it'll be a reach for him to be able to play this character in a believable manner. What I think the biggest hurdle is going to be is if anybody gives a shit. That's the thing is I think he's really burnt out even Hollywoods that give a shit a meter trying to make himself famous. And I think a lot of the Academy, they may not like Rick suggests, they may not endorse it simply because he's such a jackass. Even in like a pile of jackasses, that guy's the jackassiest. And I say that as the whitest.
Which is impressive because he came outside of Hollywood. You know, like his claim to fame was his stepping stone was the
he's
WWE.
number one at everything, including being a douchebag.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's interesting. I think the movie in tone is something more like The Wrestler, is something more like hard won and gritty. And I mean, it has a sort of attitude to it where it's like, it's not easy. This thing that you're trying to achieve is not easy. It's hard. There will be challenges. And I'm sorry, I think people are really hungry for any kind of inspiring.
I had a slightly different take on it. I was getting the vibes from the last Showgirl where people were insisting that Pamela Anderson was going to get a nomination, and she came close. She did get a Screen Actors Guild nomination, which is a surprise. So I guess maybe they're trying to play into that, but again, this is a thing for the Rock to even get a nomination. He's got to get some precursors. He's got to get a critical appeal, and he's got to overcome hostility from still a good number of Academy members who are probably going to hold. I think one of the reasons Adam Sandler was not nominated is because they held his past filmography against him. And so we don't know that. So let's just see the movie. All I'm going to say is let's just see the movie first before we already say he's going to win or he's going to get a nomination. We don't know. Let's just see the movie first, and then we'll say, hey, you know, he convinced me. He pulled off a great performance, or yeah, he's playing himself. Why am I going to reward someone for playing himself? Well, that's
boring. Has nothing to do with speculation and gossip. So I understand where you're coming from, you know, from a logical perspective, but you know,
this might be what it is. This might be the least contrived. This might be the least contrived male-on-male rape in Oscar history lately. So when it comes to nominations and things, I'm hoping.
Are you aware that Adrian Brody gets raped? And
I am. Okay. That's what I'm just saying it's now a requisite. So I'm hoping The Rock doesn't go that way, but it might be because it's UFC and there's usually a finger in the bum. That's what I'm trying to put out here.
That's what tipped it in favor of him over Chalamet. That very bizarre scene where I was half asleep, wondering if I was watching what I was watching.
Yeah.
Yep. I have no idea why that was in the Brutalist, by the way. I don't even think that was real.
How come Tom Holland didn't get it then? Well, he got it, but
I think that
would have been Emmy.
He got it, but he didn't get a nomination.
That
would have been Emmy, by the way.
He's too young.
I mean, that's why he wants to leave. Like he did that to try and get a nomination. They didn't give it to him. He was like, "Fuck this! I'm going back to England. I'm going to be a farmer."
For as bad as Luca Guadagnino's Challengers was last year, he made a worse movie called Queer with Daniel Craig as the protagonist. So you know what I mean? And that didn't get any play at awards time. So it was just like,
came close. They were tipping Daniel Craig to get a nomination, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
I actually did not think the movie was terrible until they got to the jungle, and then it just went so far off the rails. I saw people walk out.
Did you? I'm assuming you didn't read the book because like. I've heard from people who read the book who are like it was a terrible adaptation. So who knows?
I've not read it. And this is someone who thought pretty well of Naked Lunch, though I've never read any of his books.
Burroughs, yeah.
Yep.
Well, like I said, his movie's coming out later this year. We'll get kind of a view of how this whole thing is going. And like I said, it's funny how, there's all this optimism with Rock and the Hollywood side of things. Like I said, he has a Scorsese movie coming out. He has the live action Moana coming out as well, this film. So everything seems to be going well Hollywood-wise. Meanwhile, everyone in pro wrestling hates him because they're all Triple H marks now. So it's just weird, the dichotomy there between pro wrestling
and they all want to go work in Hollywood now.
Exactly right.
Is this going to delay the next Fast and Furious film? Because that's what we really want.
Apparently, those are already shot. They just haven't been put together yet. But apparently, they put all that together. So it's going to be a cluster no matter how it goes.
And I still need to see Helen Mirren and Rita Moreno drag race. I need to see them race. That's what I paid. I would pay $40,000 to see that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss that on another day. But we're going to end things here tonight with a little incident from a blast from the past. It was called the Malice at the Palace. Now, who here actually remembers the Malice at the Palace?
I watched the game. It was Friday night on ESPN, and I remember watching the game live.
I was right there with you. I remember watching this game live. This was back in the good old days where they did NBA on ESPN, and I even remember the whole theme song to it and everything. It was the Pistons.
No, I when I heard Malice at the Palace, I thought it was something to do with Meghan Markle. So that's how much I know.
Anyway, so. Womp. It was the Pistons and the Pacers, which was a very heated rivalry at the time period. I believe the Pistons had just won the NBA championship a few months earlier, so they were defending champs going into this. And essentially what happened, it was the very end of the game. It was a game that Indiana was already well on its way of winning, about 50 seconds left. And then a little fisticuffs began to happen. Now, it started off on the court with guys pushing and shoving each other, and then it literally sprawled out to being the worst brawl in NBA history. To this day, you can argue one of the worst brawls in sports history because it wasn't just between players, it was between the fans. And I remember watching this live, watching this chaos live, and I'll never forget this. I'll go ahead and play you guys the whole instant here. Once again, I will remind you guys listening to us on the YouTube side of things. If whatever reason this stream gets taken down because YouTube decides to be gay, we will continue this on Rumble. We will continue this on X. So go check us out over there. But yeah, we're going to relive here the Malice at the Palace. This is the Detroit, Indiana brawl that happened so many years ago. I'll let you guys watch this in real time and figure out how it goes from bad to significantly worse.
5 starters in double figures. The Pacers have played a very intelligent game tonight.
Bill Waltman, who just died last year.
Oh!
This has potential to be serious.
Ron Artest.
Wallace upset. Players trying to hold each other off. Steven Jackson will receive.
So if you guys catch it here, it started off between Ben Wallace and Ron Artest. They got into the pushing and shoving. Players get involved. They get separated. So you see this all the time in basketball, right? Nothing out of the ordinary here. Guys get a little heated. People come to kind of cool things off. So it gets to it gets to a point where cooler heads prevail. Everything is chills out. And then this happens.
And then Ben Wallace came over with the shove.
Ron Artest is taking a little breather there. Dude, Ben Wallace was a beast, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Totally uncalled for.
What the hell's going on?
I want to see the foul again.
So they're trying to cool everyone off here. Ron Artest is lying down on the announcer's table right now, and then this happens.
It appeared Wallace was past him and Artest shoved him. And that's what Wallace took exception to, but you still can't.
Look at that balls.
You've got to let it go.
That was as bad as John Cena.
That's not that hard of a foul. It's not.
That's not that hard of a foul.
Oh.
What the hell?
Can't react that way. Wallace is still charged up. Now Wallace, I would assume, has been ejected. The way Steven Jackson's carrying on, they should eject him as well.
Nothing much has changed for Steven Jackson over the years.
Nothing at all.
The problem is, if Wallace is ejected, I'm not sure
Bink.
Oh,
Now here
Drew
comes
Cup.
stuff from the audience. Yep.
What the fuck?
Security.
It's Kevin Nash.
Security. They're in the stands now.
Oh, they threw more at him. Then that guy got punched.
Oh my god. What the hell?
Basically what happened, somebody in the stands threw a cup of water at Ron Artest. He gets up, runs into the crowd to go after the guy he thought threw the water. Now, it turns out in real time, he passed the guy who actually threw it and went after the wrong fan. So then another fan who was standing behind him throws another cup of water around Artest's face, and then Steven Jackson comes behind him, punches him in the face, and now you have an outright brawl happening in the crowd between the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons fans.
That's tremendous.
So keep this in mind. The guy right here in the blue shirt right here, this guy, he's the one who threw it at Artest. Artest goes right past him and goes after this guy in the black who did absolutely nothing.
He's just an insurance salesman. That's all he is.
All this guy just sitting here minding his own business. Now he's in the middle of a massive brawl between NFL and NBA
Go
players.
to the Pacers game today.
He pushes him. He pushes him. He pushes him over to him. That's the best part. He just led him right to that guy. He's just like, nope.
Yep.
The security trying to somehow restore order. Fans and players are going at it, and the players trying to help each other out.
Oh my god.
This is a disgrace.
So yeah, Steven Jackson players, they're just literally just fist fighting fans on live TV now. This has turned into a massive altercation.
All the players now, they're jumping in there to try and get the other players out because the fans have come involved.
Just calm the hell down. Get off me.
Oh, what a sad scene here at the Palace.
This is a disgraceful scene.
oh, now on the other side.
And this is the nice part of Detroit, by the way.
So what they didn't show you there on this version, but we saw like another version. Essentially what happened was some random Detroit fan just ran up on the court next to Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal turns around and clocks this dude right in the fucking face. It was just glorious.
Oh my god. This is tremendous.
The look in his eye that's very scary right now.
Get back of here.
You wonder if the official's going to let this game continue. Now they're throwing bottles out onto the floor.
Yep, that's Detroit, all right.
They're trying to get the Pacers to go back to the locker room.
Reggie Jackson's like, what the hell?
Poor Reggie Miller, and you know, they talked about this too. This was Reggie Miller's last year, and Indiana had a team that could have competed for an NBA title this year, but because of this, we'll get to this here towards the end, that title aspiration evaporated almost instantly.
You could call a hard foul at best, has turned into just an ugly, ugly scene. Chuck Person, the officials, I think they're going to call this game off, and that should be, the outcome is definitely decided.
So now the Pacers are trying to get back into the locker room. The fans begin to throw more stuff at them, and then the Pacers players are still trying to fight more fans.
Of course.
Ridiculous fans trying to go at the players.
Ridiculous. Look at the fucking.
It's like there's 30,000 people, I think, in an NBA arena. I'm sure, I know it's a lot different than football, but
I mean, average NBA game is like 18,000 people.
Okay.
So,
yeah, but you don't want that many people throwing shit at you from the
But for what it is, this is just kind of like this thing that's been going on, the 100 men versus the gorilla thing, because this dude is towering over everybody inside this arena. If you look at this picture, right? He's gonna be able to take some people out going along with this. So this could be a good fight.
Right. Stay out there, yeah. You can win the walls.
Just firing bottles from the stands.
I want to get back there to kick their ass.
The Pacers have all gone back.
And now the fans, because it's Detroit, they'll fight themselves.
So Jermaine O'Neal they were trying to drag him to the back. Somebody threw a cup right in his face. He then climbs up into the stands against so now a bigger brawl is breaking out here as they're trying to get him off the court.
This is tremendous.
They're trying to get the Pacers to go back to the locker room. What was maybe you could call a hard foul at best has turned into just an ugly.
And of course, the white dude's just like, dude, I just want to play.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't get to play much anyway.
Oh yeah, there's Reggie Miller in the suit. He wasn't even playing that night.
Somebody could really get hurt. This is a bad showing from the Pistons fans here.
Yeah, the thing is, Ron Artest was a great player, especially a great defender, but he would just be in situations like this all the time, which of course made him an unstable force for your team.
I mean, this incident literally defined his entire career.
Yeah.
The Pacers have all gone back
Jesus.
into the locker room, and they're getting thrown a lot of debris, and they're still not all the way through.
Let me get out!
Jermaine O'Neal still trying to fight the fans.
I'm just saying, 100 men.
Look at that. That's just...
Boo! Fuck
It's
Detroit,
like chicken
bro.
jockey in there.
Jesus, gravity.
You didn't think I'd sneak it in.
No, it caught me off guard.
Here's the thing. I don't think that the fans are acting right here, but when you go into the stands like that, all bets are off. Like,
I mean, at this point, they were literally fighting the entire city of Detroit at this point.
Yeah. And I get it,
RoboCop
but
is about to
you're
show
in a
up.
lose-lose situation. Like, it doesn't matter how big and strong you are, you're outnumbered. It's not gonna go
They've
well.
got more cups of beer, man. They got more cups of beer.
Well, by the way, what you have to
And
remember
they have
is
plenty
that-
of white people around just waiting to get slammed.
But what you have to remember of the time was that the NBA was fighting the thug issue, the thug image. So they were trying to like separate themselves from this this tendency for NBA players to hang out with criminals and do drugs and have lots of women around and
Punch the
sort
fans
of
in
like
the face.
engage in certain behavior that they didn't want to be associated with their league. And the suspensions that came down after this were extensive, were really were egregious for the time. So and we haven't really had a fight since then. So it's historic for that reason. The NBA was changing. Obviously the NBA has gotten worse since this, but
Player-wise,
it's just unfortunate that it had to happen, because it's like at the end of the day, it's like the players obviously are the ones that started this conflict. So it's like I don't know, because then ESPN came out with a documentary, I want to say like 5, 6, 7 years ago, that tried to say that the players weren't at fault, and it was like, come on,
It stopped.
Yeah,
it's like they were trying to find a way to blame the fans, like for
Yeah.
this whole situation. It was like,
and
look,
some of
when-
them,
Initially,
escalated
I
things.
would have said that no, the fans weren't at fault, but after a while, they were.
Yeah.
Not storming, but they were taking to the court, continuing to throw water and I presume alcohol at people who were trying to leave and or were being escorted out. I don't know if it was just a frustration of their team winning or losing or what have you. And initially, the very first, not the first water, but the second one, the one when the player's charging at the wrong person, I'll say that maybe that was a very bizarre effort to try to defend the other person. I can't say, but eventually the fans have to take some responsibility, because they were the ones throwing everything at the players. I don't understand why they thought that they were helping. They were egging them on. They were making things much worse.
But like I said, I think once it got to the point where, like I said, the players are literally in like the 4th row or the 8th row, like taking punches at people, like all bets are off at that point. Like at that point, it's like it's a full-blown brawl. It's every man for himself. And if you got literally 6'8" giant basketball players rushing the sand, swinging at everything that moves, then it's like you can't then be like, oh, I can't believe the fans acted like this. It's like these people are literally trying to defend themselves. They're literally fighting for their lives out in the stands right now.
There were probably some who were not involved at all and were just caught in the middle of this.
Right. There was the one white dude who literally just got shut. The guy who did it literally just navigated Ron Artest toward that innocent man. And what a guy, man. Let's pour a 40 out for that man. That had to be one of the top 10 scariest
and you know what the
things
best part
in the world.
And then the best part about that, if I can rewind here just for a second, let's go back to the scene. So after Ron Artest is going after the wrong guy, as you see here, the guy who actually threw it is now trying to pull Ron Artest off the other guy.
Hey, get off of him, Ron! What are you doing, guy? He just wanted to touch Ron Artest.
So he's now playing peacemaker for the incident that he started. And he was the one that started all this.
Calm down there,
Kane. Some
Kane.
sort of sense of guilt as that, hey, this guy's going after the wrong person.
I'm sorry, it's just unintentionally hilarious.
So real quick here, this was a massive story when it happened. Like I said, me and Rob are one of the lucky ones who saw this all play out live on television. We'll play a little bit of the ending here because there was basically the live reaction of everyone who had saw this.
This is about what I saw.
The NBA dropped the hammer on Ron Artest and a few other people. So Ron Artest got suspended for the remainder of the season, which is a total of 86 games at that point because it was early in the season when this happened. So he got suspended 73 regular season games, the 13 playoff games Indiana played, and he lost a grand salary of $5 million as a result of this. Steven Jackson got suspended for 30 games. He lost $1.7 million of his salary. Jermaine O'Neal was originally going to get suspended 25 games. They reduced it on an appeal to 15. Ben Wallace got suspended for 6. Reggie Miller, for some reason, got suspended for a game. Chauncey Billups, a few other people got suspended for a game as well. As far as legal issues here, because essentially all the players got sued as a result of this. People who faced legal representation was Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson, a few other players. They essentially got 60 hours of community service. I think Anthony Johnson got 100 hours, anger management therapy, and 1 year probation. So this is a whole massive legal fallout here to what happened. As a result of this, Indiana did not go to the NBA Finals that year. Detroit did make it back to the NBA Finals at the end of that year, where they lost to the San Antonio Spurs in 7 games. And I just want to play a little bit of this because this is a very young Stephen A. Smith, what's his name, Greg Anthony, and Tim Legler here.
Yep.
Yeah, but back when, NBA's coverage and ESPN actually had some credibility, this was their literally, it's like, hey, game ended. It's like, go to New York and talk about what you guys just saw. And this is literally what they said here.
Can we covered it longer than me, so I'll let you handle exactly what happened
John
in the
Saunders, he's dead
situation.
now.
But I'm here to tell you that the Piston fans, based on what I saw there, are a bunch of punks. It's easy to throw beer on top of somebody who's already down. It's easy to throw a punch at somebody when you're behind them. Shows that you're not a sissy. Just do it right.
They were literally throwing punches there, Greg. Like, I don't know how much of a bitch I can...
Ron Artest literally pushed the wrong dude.
Exactly. He didn't even punch the right guy, but I'll play a bit more.
It just makes me mad. That is ridiculous. That's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Well, I think the first thing, you're going to have to address it from the standpoint of what is the league going to do about this? How is the league going to handle this? We know that the fans that we saw in Detroit tonight were an absolute disgrace. They should be ashamed.
It looks like Don Lemon.
Some of them should be arrested as far as I'm concerned. But when you look at the situation from the league's
It's
perspective,
like his face has only
you got
gotten
to believe they're
stretched
going to take
out
a
over the
long,
years,
hard
you
look
know?
at
Yeah.
how this entire
the next
process started.
president. How
All of
dare
us
you.
were sitting up here
That's
looking,
what happens
even
when you
though
have no
Artest
hairline.
fouled
Just
Ben
kind of
Wallace,
stretch
none
your
of us
face out.
viewed it as a flagrant
It's
foul or
sprayed
that
on
hard of
every
a
day.
foul. For Ben Wallace to react that way, the league
Wham!
is definitely going to look at that, and I would not be surprised at all if the league came down hard on Benny Wallace.
And oftentimes when you look at scenarios that play
Ben
out
Wallace
like that,
is still
the
playing
league
to this
has-
day.
I mean,
though.
but Ben Wallace got suspended 6 games, and honestly, like, yeah, he technically started it by pushing Artest, but he had nothing to do with you guys going into the stands and like fist fighting people. So it's like you can't put that much blame on him. It's like at that point it was between him and Ron Artest, and nobody else.
I think the players were just
to take
looking for an excuse to go after anyone.
any type of fracas. Because, again, this is a very emotional game. As you saw Mr. Saunders display, it is sincerely very emotional. You get out there in the heat of battle. These guys are competing at the highest level for high stakes, and then to have the fans overreact like that. And you know what? It is a
overreact like that.
Yeah, it was the fans that overreacted.
They were running for their lives. They were overreacting.
Yeah, the guy that got beaten up by mistake. Yeah, he was overreacting.
Literally, the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk fell from the goddamn sky.
Yeah,
and that was overreacting.
He was overreacting by trying to save his life.
The 6'7", 260-pound basketball player who rushed into the stand and started swinging at people didn't even get the right guy. That guy didn't overreact, but the fans, I can't believe they would do something like that.
Most of the fans in Detroit are great fans. I think some of the best they are. However, you can see a lot of this, I think, was initiated because of alcohol. There's no doubt about it. You look at
come on.
It'd be called the Miller Lite Arena. How dare they?
Interestingly enough, just walked away. He tried to stay out of it. The Detroit Pistons fans are the ones responsible for the escalation of this, obviously, by pouring beer, by throwing objects on the players. Sometimes, as a player, you're so emotional. The last thing you want to do is be subjected to that kind of abuse from a fan in the stands. And Ron Artest obviously wasn't going to have it. He went in there. The thing blew up. It's completely to blame. The blame should be put on the Detroit Pistons fans without question. You know, the point you made too. You even saw fans throwing punches, and I think the league has to look at it from a security standpoint.
They were catching punches too.
I don't think you guys saw the video. They were literally being attacked.
These analysts These analysts are trying to shift the blame entirely on the
I didn't know what gaslighting was. I didn't know it existed back then.
No, it would literally be like if I had rushed out and just start punching Cider in the face, and then 10 minutes afterwards, a bunch of analysts are sitting there like, I can't believe Cider would do something like that. It's a shame the way that he acted.
He overreacted. The other Ciders were doing fine, and then that one Cider. But
knowing that, I think Jacob would probably just rush and start punching me by mistake.
Yeah, right. He intended to hit me and
Cider would just push Ron Artest over to the corner where Rick is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, instead of the short white guy, he hits the short Mexican. That's what
Cider jumps on Ron Artest. Get off of him, Ron!
The one white guy on the panel
push Rob in front of me to shield me from
had a decision to make, okay? The one white guy on the panel had a decision to make, okay? And he said, is my career worth saying that the players probably shouldn't get that excited over basketball, you know? And he said, no, it's those fuckers in the stands that'll save my career. Fuck you guys. You end of the bus you go.
Me and my eyebrows agree. It's the fans' fault.
It's cheap to blame the fans almost entirely for all of this. When you see the players rushing out, these people are taller, stronger, and they even hit people who did nothing.
One fan, one guy in the entire arena threw a beer at Ron Artest, and all of a sudden it's the fault of the entire city of Detroit.
Yeah. All of Detroit must stand.
Dude, we really pick punishment. I feel sorry for Detroit. We pick on them so much. There might not be that bad.
No, it's funny to laugh at, but the NBA, you can see this in the suspensions. The guys that got hit with the biggest suspensions were acting in the most egregious ways. Ron Artest, Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal. And it's like when you go into the stands and you basically physically threaten people up to the point of striking them, they're gonna punch back or attempt to at least, or throw shit at you, or like it's you're invading their physical space and threatening them. What did you think was going to happen?
Exactly. I mean, if I have someone, even as small as I am, if I have someone lunging at me, I'm going to do my best to protect myself, even if I have to get like a cup of water, whatever I have at me.
In all honesty, they're lucky that this didn't happen in like somewhere in Texas or Florida where they have like stand your ground laws or something like that.
That's what I was
really
thinking.
gotten ugly.
That's what I was thinking. thinking, this is Detroit. Somebody didn't sneak in a little fucking 9-piece or something, you know?
So, you know,
3-piece with a biscuit?
You're there and you're watching the game. You see a random red cup go flying through the air, and you think to yourself, "Oh well, you know that happens. Everybody's mad at this whole ruling thing." And hits the guy. He gets up and he starts running to the stands, and all of a sudden, you're not watching basketball anymore. You're a pre-flood caveman about to be eaten by a Nephilim who's charging at you at full speed.
Okay, this is gonna be a very poignant reference. Few of you guys are gonna get this. Remember, you guys seen the movie Waiting?
Yeah.
Remember at the very end of the movie where the guy's going off in his rant, and then all of a sudden he just points at Dane Cook, and Dane's just like sitting there, like looking around, like he's talking to somebody else but him. And that's literally what that guy was feeling like as Ron Artest was running towards him, getting ready to punch him in the face. Right? He's like, "What the fuck got you?"
That had to be what the top 10 of his nightmares. A 7-foot tall black dude just running at him and about to knock the shit out of him.
Yes, you know, that's what I didn't like about the analysis that I heard there. They are all basically saying that it was the fans, and the fans primarily, if not exclusively, were the ones that caused this melee, and they were basically attacking these sweet innocent players who were just entertaining them and doing a good game. No.
Did you see Ron Artest was taking a nap? He was taking a nap on the table.
Well, no, I mean, but it's an unfair analysis. And even after you see the video, you see the players are going after them. They need to exercise some self-control. I'm not excusing all the fans. The fans should not have been throwing more water or beer or whatever at them. But at a certain point, the players need to take the responsibility, and it's not just the fans. I don't understand. This analysis is so bizarre to me. I would have said, you know what, the players should not have gone up there. I can understand the anger, but even after you're trying to get them out, you're still going after them. No, you need to leave. You need to exercise some common sense. I think it's inexcusable.
Yeah, when the players are in row 9 throwing punches, it's no longer I can't believe the fans are acting this way. It's like, what do you think is gonna happen?
No, because the fans have every right to defend themselves as they're getting attacked by all of these people.
These Nephilim.
Would be the most natural.
Goliath over here is fucking trying to talk to everybody else.
It's the most natural thing in the world to try to defend yourself, especially when you've done nothing. When you're just standing there watching this, and some massive man is lunging at you, about to try to kill you in front of everyone.
Like I said, these are not small individuals. These are not average sized people. Like Ron Artest is like 6'10". I think Steven Jackson's 6'8". Jermaine O'Neal's like 6'11". These are like massive men.
Right.
Well, the other thing is like, imagine you took out one of them, right? Not like killed him or anything, but like he swung at you, you swung back, and he said, "I'm not going to try that again." You know, and he moves on to the next guy, right? Imagine that's how it goes. You're gonna tell that story for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Jermaine O'Neal took a swing at me. I
tell you what,
him, and he ran away.
And I tell you what,
it was just like 2001: Space Odyssey.
Everyone's trying to pass it off on the fans of Detroit. Like, there was still about maybe a good 5,000 fans left in the arena that night. Imagine if all 5,000 of them just said, "Yeah, it's on," and went after like the 3 like Pacer fans in the stands, and like they all just dogpiled them and started taking punches. Like it could have been significantly worse than what it was.
Or it just turns into a frenzy because that other guy says, "Hey, Ted, I know you've been fucking my wife. We're ending it here." And you got a time traveler that's killing Hitler in the back row, and you got to play Where's Waldo with all the time travelers. It goes this time to murder someone.
It's the third act A of every single movie happening inside that fucking stadium.
I do that during like. I was just saying, I do that every time the riot breaks out. I say to myself, all right, which one of these guys is a time traveler that's brought somebody back to assassinate them into the chaotic event, so the death looks like it's a part of the riot? You know, like
how many riots are you usually involved with, Cider? I'm just curious.
It is Detroit, so
that would be my specialty.
Yeah, I'll play the rest of this, and then we'll wrap it up.
To really thwart
the one-man riot,
altercation here. You can just see there is not enough security within this whole scenario here that's going to prevent this type of fallout. And you hate to see it.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think they hire enough security in case an entire basketball team starts fist fighting the fans. Like, I don't think there's any arena in America that's prepared for that.
I do like the security guard though, not getting in the middle of where he should be, but holding back the small Filipino woman in the back.
Oh man!
There you see a fan throwing punches, and that again, another fan throwing punches. You hate to see that because the league, I thought, really off to a positive
Let's
start.
also keep in mind the fact that once that incident took place, you could see that Ben Wallace, once he saw how it escalated, how the fans had gotten involved,
we wanted to aspire to greater things. You remember that?
Was in the crowd trying to separate guys. Several of the Indiana Pacers was trying to protect their players and stop the incident. And
I went to Columbia, damn it!
As these guys were walking through the tunnel, throwing beers on the. I mean, just horrible. I'm interested. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how the league handles this situation with its players.
I think John hit the nail on the head more than anything. It's just cowardly. Cowardly. When you see people...
My eyebrows, cowardly. They're running away from my face.
If they were face to face with any one of those athletes, they would turn and run. Instead, they know they're coming up from behind.
Okay, again. Stop right there. Cowardly. Okay. When
he's got the Rock's eyebrow with the smell what Chris Evers is cooking.
It's like when a 6'7" basketball player is charging at you and you're willing to trade punches back. I don't think cowardly is the right word to say about something like that.
There's a biblical story about that, in fact.
Okay, it's not like he threw a racial slur at him.
Yeah.
And then ran away at. That's not what happened.
You neighbor.
Again, all of
and here's the other thing. It's like he's sitting over here saying that. Yeah, well, I mean, if those guys were standing in front of you, you would never thought. But they were literally standing in front of them. Like, what did you?
They ran up on him even, and he threw a punch.
I don't know who this person is, but this person is operating on the idea that it was the fans who instigated the melee, and that they somehow were doing the provocative attacks. No,
yes,
I'm having this man, throwing himself about to try to kill me. I'm going to do my best to throw everything I have. I'm going to throw water. I'm going to throw punches. I'm going to throw Rob right in front of him if I have to, because I'm going to try to defend myself. It's not cowardly. This man, hopefully, has acknowledged that he was wrong. And it was not
the best part about this is that he's like trying to pretend like I would have done this and I would have calmed down, man, dude. Mm-hmm. This isn't your fight.
The secret is that those fans all got together and brewed up some angry juice and kept throwing it on the players, and it sprayed onto some of the crowd, and everybody got super ass mad. And it was only supposed to be the players, but it just spilled everywhere, and that was the last time they ever used the angry juice. But this is the face you make when a 6'7" Nephilim is about to attack you.
Not the face!
Leroy Jenkins!
Cowardly when you see people throwing punches that in any other situation, if they ever were face to face with any one of those athletes, they would turn and run. Instead, they know they're coming up from behind.
This is all because of a slap on the wrist foul.
And they're throwing punches. The most unfortunate thing is, even after that push by Ben Wallace, there was nothing else really happened other than the players kind of running and getting each other. That happens all the time in the NBA. However, then you had the fans. You just hate to see it. Period. I mean, that's a bunch of crap.
Understand this. Ron Artest is laying on the scorer's table, and somebody threw a beer from the stands.
No, that was angry juice.
Really started. Hopefully, the league will recognize that.
I've never seen a situation covering sports where the players go into the stands where it wasn't first instigated by those fans. And I say it again, you're a bunch of punks based on what you did.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Fuck you, Detroit. Fuck you.
No.
And I hate hardcore pawn.
No. I'm not accepting that. I'm not. And
the Pistons won the title the next year, by the way, 2005.
I'll say this as someone.
No, they won the year before.
Oh, okay.
Pistons won. Pistons had won several months earlier. They beat the Lakers. The next year it was the Spurs that won it.
Okay.
No. We need them all to come back and say, hey, do you stand by all of these statements that it was the fans primarily, or if not exclusively, who caused this brawl? Or do you now acknowledge that maybe having these gigantic figures going after people, and some who are not even involved in this, maybe they have some responsibility. I say this again as someone who does not follow basketball and who didn't even know how to pronounce Luka Doncic's name and had no idea who he was. I'm just perplexed at how these sports analysts, I don't know who they are, that they could just say, "Hey, it was just the fans. It was the fans who were causing all of this problem." No. Now
Imagine telling the guy who's just like getting swung at, getting punched in the face, "You should be ashamed of yourself. I can't believe you acted this way."
Yeah. No, we need, if I knew who any of them were, except for, was it Stephen Smith, who's going to be the president, if I would ask them, do you stand by this? Do you believe that this is the case, that it was just the fans, that the players had nothing to do with this? Do you still stand by this 21 years later? Or have you had a time to reflect and say, hey, maybe the fans were not wholly responsible? I'm not excusing them throwing beer or water or whatever at the players. That's not acceptable. But also the idea that the players were these innocents who were just trying to defend themselves. No. As my mom would say, eso ni te lo crees tú. Even you don't believe that.
I want to see, after watching this, I want to see a sports like recap show of Dennis Rodman and Kim Jong-un, like going through American basketball news and talking about it. It can't be any worse than what we just watched.
Norm Macdonald had a great sports show where he would just, I mean, the sports was like beside the point. It was just,
as always with Norm.
Right. And so, if you haven't seen those are fun clips to check out.
For what it is, $40 back then in Detroit would get you front row seats. So with inflation, it's about $40,000. Like we were doing WrestleMania or Summerslam or whatever.
That tracks.
So I'm just saying, maybe for $40,000, would you want to get beat up by Ron Artest because you didn't throw water at him?
Now you see, this would never happen at a WNBA game. So
that's
there's
true.
that.
There's not nearly that many fans.
No, all that action happens in the group chat 6 hours after the game.
Oh my gosh. No, we're not going there.
Lousy Caitlin.
We're not going there. Does Angel Reese still have her burger or Big Mac combo special at McDonald's?
No, it got replaced by the chicken jockey. It got replaced with the chicken jockey.
Chicken
if you are a chicken restaurateur, it might be a good time to open a restaurant called Chicken Jockey. I'm just saying. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that's staying around for a good long time.
And you get to swing the live chicken before you cut its head off and serve it.
Yep.
Believe it or not, Rick, I live near a restaurant that grows the chickens. They kill them every morning before they serve. And when they run out of chickens, they run out of chicken to serve. They kill them every morning.
I love that.
You see, this is why Canada should not have been the 51st state. Maine should have been the newest province.
The 51st state?
Oh, no. Maine should have been annexed into Canada.
I don't want to be underneath the WEF. I don't like the WEF.
Yeah, well, but Canada's still getting a liberal government, so
I like the idea. I do like the idea of bone to finger though cuisine in Maine. That sounds really delicious.
I thought all you people ate were lobster. Isn't that what Maine does? I mean, this lobster.
It actually started out as prison food, Rick. Believe it or not, we used to boil lobster and serve it to prisoners.
At least go and rejoin Massachusetts.
Now that's white privilege. That's white privilege. Especially.
Wait till you find out what we did to the Nazis.
Well, that is the end of our show here tonight. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up, circle around the block. I'm going to go ahead and start with this man over here. What do you got coming up, Rick?
All right. Well, first, I want to send out my best wishes to Orange Hat. I know he's not doing well, but get well soon, Orange. And I'm sorry that we won't be partaking in these chats. But hopefully, we'll be back soon. So for me, I've got more reviews. I will be reviewing Thunderbolts, so I will be watching that. Continuing my Best Actress retrospective, Julianne Moore, you're not going to rank high on my list, just to let you know, not if you care. So just more reviews, continuing my Best Actress retrospective, wishing everyone well, and thank you, everyone. It's been delightful. Looking forward to watching Sinners, by the way, which I still haven't seen. So we'll see that.
Eddie, what's going on?
What's up, all? What happened to? Oh yeah, so I'm late because I finally got a loan to start my business, my juice bar arcade. So I'm happy I got the loan, but I'm getting like jerked around with locations. So apparently I need to leave the state in order to actually open up my business. So it's going to be a nice.
Very Californian.
It does. I mean, it's what I got to do in order to open this thing. Apparently, I got to go through 20 different hoops in order to get a. I don't want to get angry on this show. Anyway, so yeah, I'm having fun. I'm going to probably get some angry juice like cider brewed up and try to kick back and relax.
Oh, I made it now. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, it's Maine cider juice, right? Maine cider
angry juice.
Right. Maine angry juice cider. That actually would be pretty good. Okay, so there's a recipe for my juice bar. Thank you, cider.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Eddie Brock _YT at twitter.com.
All right. Cider.
As you can see, I've become paralyzed. My camera froze at some point, but I'm just going to pretend I'm paralyzed.
Did you go to a basketball game in Detroit? Is that what happened?
Yes, a Nephilim attacked me, broke my neck, and now all I can do is stare listlessly to the left. But or right, depending on how you have your screen oriented. But anyway, Bounding into Comics does stuff at 8:00 on Wednesday. Maybe I don't know. We might be doing that still. It might be a thing. People tend to watch it sometimes. Maybe you'll watch it. Maybe you won't. I don't know. We still do stuff over there. Anyway, thanks.
Great, Rob.
Hi guys. So May's coming up. Pretty much have like a bunch of war stuff planned. You know, All Quiet on the Western Front and Band of Brothers and Attack and something I'm forgetting. The Longest Day. So yeah, I just have a bunch of stuff with Memorial Day coming up. It's attuned to the military. So I'm just going to be tweeting about that on my Twitter. And Sinners is terrible, so don't go see it. Really, it's a piece of shit. Yeah, and
Criterion.
it's not bad for portions of it, but like there's this one scene where the past, present, and future blues influences all come alive for some fucking reason. And you're like, this is like that scene in Argyle where she's skating on ice.
Oh.
And I'm just like, you know what? If I could, I would leave right now. I would leave in this moment. I'm not even going to get to the fucking second act. Anyway, point is, it's a terrible movie. Don't go see it. Or go see it and you'll see what I mean. And so, but yeah, you just follow me over my Twitter. Hopefully we have good movies coming. Probably not. We have a Marvel movie, which is going to save us from that terrible vampire movie. So this is the world we live in now. But anyway, I'll see you over on my Twitter. And you know, when the bar room comes back, I will be right here. So.
Yeah, and then like I said, you know, next couple of weeks, you know, I just have to take care of business for the next few weeks. You know, who knows? Hopefully this isn't something that drags out for far too long, because I do want to get back here as quickly as possible, but I do have to take care of business. I do have to take care of some things. So, like I said, we're going to take at least the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll take a break. Just go follow me on Twitter, Society Movies. Any updates of when we're coming back, I'll let you guys know over there. Make sure you guys have the community post up as well. I'll let you know the next time we will be back. So like I said, it's going to take a little brief hiatus here, but we will be back with the bar room as soon as possible. We will be back with the Bible ins as soon as possible, as soon as everything else gets sorted out. Until then, thank you guys for joining me for this hilarious episode. We will see you guys next. Oh, no, I can't say see you guys next week. We'll see you guys soon. That is the radio way of saying it. We will see you guys soon. Adios, good night, and goodbye.
Okay. Oh.
Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak. And your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week. And your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the Barroom Podcast, friends, we share our thoughts and tease. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear. In this ballroom of the airwaves with friends so near. Every story shared, every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer.
I still don't feel like I know how to shoot these things.